Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
Imagine a room so quiet that even a whisper seems loud. The walls are dark, the air is still, and there is no tick, no hum, no footstep crossing the floor. In that deep hush, a question waits like a small candle. If nothing moves, does time still pass? You can sit there and breathe, and your breath is a soft tide. You can close your eyes and feel your heart beat. But if the room were truly empty, if the room had no air, no walls, no you, would a second still be a second? The mind leans toward the answer and then leans away. It is like standing at the edge of a lake at night. You cannot see the water, but you hear something gentle moving. You wonder if it is the water itself or only your own breath echoing. Long ago, people thought of time the way sailors think of the sea. They said time was a wide, flat water that stretched on and on, whether ships sailed on it or not. The English thinker Isaac Newton wrote about this kind of time. He called it absolute. It was like a drum that keeps playing even when the band is not on stage. But another thinker, Gottfried Leibniz, thought time was not the sea. He said time was the pattern of the waves. He thought time was not a thing of its own. He thought time was the way things relate, the way events line up like footprints on a beach. In his picture, if there are no footsteps, there is no path to count, and perhaps there is no time to measure. Later, a quiet clerk with kind eyes sat at a desk in a patent office and changed how we see days and nights. Albert Einstein showed the world that space and time are threads of one cloth. They are not two, but one garment called space-time. When you move through space, you also move through time. When gravity is strong, time itself stretches and slows, like a river widening and turning lazy. A clock on a mountain top ticks a tiny bit faster than a clock at sea level. The difference is small, yet real. Your phone's maps know this, and the satellites above your head adjust their clocks, so your steps on a city street match the path drawn in your hand. If space and time are woven together, what happens if we take the cloth away? Could time survive without the loom of space, without the threads of matter and light? Many scientists think of the beginning of the universe, the Big Bang, as the time when the cloth first formed. Before that, the word before might not even make sense, because before is a word about time, and time is part of the cloth. It is like asking, what is north of the North Pole? We can point north anywhere on a map, but at the top there is no farther north to go. In the same way, asking what time was like before time may not be a question with a place to stand. Think of a blank page. You hold a pencil over it. The page is white and quiet, then you draw a dot. The dot is a first change, a first event. Many thinkers say time is born when the dot appears. Time is the order that lets us say the dot happened, then the line, then the circle. If no marks exist, there is nothing to order. In this view, time is not a separate thing you can hold. It is a way of keeping track. It is like the word next, whispered by the world each time something shifts. There is a soft idea in physics called emergence. It says that big, smooth things can rise from tiny, jittering parts. Warmth is like that. Warmth is not in any single atom. Warmth is how many atoms move together, how they jostle and share energy. Some scientists say time may be like warmth. It may appear when many small pieces interact. It may be a crowd effect, a slow cloud of change that forms when the world has enough parts to sing a song together. If that is true, then time without the universe would be like warmth without atoms, an empty word waiting for a body. You can almost feel this when you watch a snowflake melt on your palm. A crystal has a pattern. The pattern changes with heat. The melt is a record of change. It brings a sense of before and after to your skin. The same is true when you watch the sky fade from orange to deep blue. Your eyes hold frames the way a camera does, and your mind strings them into a film. The film is time, but the frames are the world. Without frames, no film. That is the gentle claim of those who tie time to change. Yet there is another quiet thought that visits now and then. What if time is the breath of a larger story? What if time is the stage itself and the universe is a play that walks across it? In that case, the stage could stand even if the actors left. Some theories in mathematics treat time as a parameter. They point to equations that hum with motion even when no specific object is named. It is like a blank dance chart marked with beats. Even if no dancer steps on it, the beats are drawn. They wait. But do waiting beats count as time? Or do they become time only when feet touch them and music rises? In the lab, we meet time in the motion of things. We watch atoms hop. We watch light wave and hum. We count how of 10 o'clock's quartz crystal shakes. We press laser light against a trapped ion and let it tick more steadily than any human heart. These clocks are so steady that they can feel the slight swell of time near heavy mountains and the slight stretch of time when they fly on a plane. Inside all of these devices is a change that repeats, a cycle, a beat. If we forget the device, we lose the beat. The beat does not float alone like a bird without air. It needs a medium, a body, a world through which to move. Still, the mind likes first things. It asks, was there a first second? It hears the phrase Planck time, a very tiny slice of a second, and wonders if that is the first slice. Scientists use this tiny time to mark the border where our present theories stop being clear. It is a fence at the edge of our field. Beyond the fence, the grass of ideas grows wild. Some dream of quantum gravity, a theory that could sew space and time into one smooth coat again. In some of these dreams, time is not smooth. It is made of small, grainy steps, like a stair hidden in fog. But the steps still belong to a staircase, and the staircase still belongs to a house. Without a house, steps are just floating shapes with nowhere to go. There is a calm picture called the block universe. In this picture, time is another direction, like north or east. All moments exist at once in a big, frozen loaf. Your birth is a slice, your first laugh is a slice, this breath is a slice. You feel a flow because your mind walks the loaf slice by slice, but the loaf does not grow or shrink. If this picture is true, time is not doing anything beyond holding all the slices at once. Does that count as time without change? Or is the change your walk through the slices, which means you still need a walker, a mind, a being in a world to move? Let us drift deeper into the arrow of time. Why does a broken cup not leap back together on the floor? Why does perfume spread from the bottle into the room and not gather itself back inside? We say time has a direction. It seems to go from order to disorder, from neat to messy. The word for this is entropy. It is a way to count how many ways the parts can be arranged. There are many more messy ways than neat ways, so a world left on its own will likely grow messy. This arrow gives us a sense of before and after. The neat shelf stands before the toppled books. The clean window stands before the dust. In this way, the arrow is not a separate thing. It is the way change tends to go when there are many parts and many paths. A different soft idea says that time may rise from the way things are linked across distance. This is called entanglement in quantum theory. Two tiny particles can be born together so that they share a silent bond. When you touch one, the other seems to know. Some researchers wonder if the flow we call time may depend on how much things are linked like this. The more links, the clearer the flow. With no links, there may be no sense of before and after at all. It is like a choir. One voice alone can sing, but a choir makes a rhythm that fills the hall and turns sound into a felt passage. But we should be careful. The mind builds pictures because pictures help us rest. Time is a shy thing. It slips between any two images we hold. It could be that asking, does time exist without the universe, is like asking, does a smile exist without a face? You can write the word smile on a page. You can think about the curve of lips and the soft lines at the eyes, but a smile lives best on a face. In the same way, the math for time may sit on a page, but the feeling of time and the measure of time live best in a world where things can move, warm, cool, and change. Consider your own body. It is a small universe of cells and signals. In your brain, tiny pulses of electricity move along branches like fireflies hopping from twig to twig. These pulses have timing. They rise and fall in waves. Some cycles are fast, like a hummingbird's wings. Some are slow, like the hush between tides. When you fall asleep, these waves change shape. When you wake, they change again. Your sense of time stretches and shrinks with them. Minutes can feel heavy like stones, or light like feathers caught in sun. Now imagine the early universe, hot and bright like a newborn flame. Light could not travel far without bumping into particles. The whole place was a fog. As it cooled, the fog thinned. Atoms formed. Light began to fly clean for the first time. We still see a faint glow from that time, like the after-sunset color that clings to the sky. This glow is called the cosmic microwave background. It is a picture of the universe when it was very young. The picture has tiny ripples, tiny differences in warmth across the sky. Those small, soft spots are the seeds of galaxies. They are the first dots that let time begin to write then and next. There is kindness in knowing that our clocks are made from the world and for the world. A tree counts seasons with rings. A bird counts days with the slow tilt of dawn and dusk. Flowers count hours with little gears called genes that turn on and off in cycles. Your body counts years by adding and removing small tags on its DNA. Every count depends on a change. Every change depends on a setting, a place, a world. The counting and the world are partners in a dance. As we sit again in the quiet room, the question returns, softer now. If nothing moves, does time pass? If no universe exists, is there a clock still beating? We have walked through many gentle pictures, and each suggests the same tender truth. Time as we know it needs a world to lean on. It is the sway in the grass, the turning of the earth, the warmth spreading in a cup, the pulse in a wrist. Without the grass, without the earth, without the cup, without the wrist, the sway and the turn and the spread and the pulse cannot show themselves. This does not make the question less beautiful. It makes it more so, because the question ties us to everything else. It says you are part of the clock you read. It says the stars are part of your minutes. It says the ocean and the wind and the dust of old mountains help make the hours you feel. When you listen for time, you are also listening for the universe itself. The two hum together. The hum is the lullaby on which you fall asleep. If there is a secret before creation, it might be this, the promise of a rhythm. A promise is not the same as the thing it promises. A promise is a shape, a readiness. The blank page holds the promise of a poem. The dark stage holds the promise of a play. If time without the universe exists at all, it may exist only as a promise, a quiet readiness for change. And when the first change came, a spark, a ripple, a dot on the page, the promise became a path. The path became a river. The river became the days and nights that carry us. And as your eyes grow heavy, think of that thread running through stars and stones, through tides and songs, through old memories and newborn hopes. If time is the thread, the universe is the cloth it weaves. If the universe is the cloth, time is the shimmer that moves across it when you tilt it toward light. Without one, the other cannot show its full face. With both, a simple second can feel like a sky opening, and a long night can feel like the gentle rocking of a boat. In that rocking, you are safe. In that rocking, you can rest. Now imagine yourself floating in a sea of silence, where stars have not yet formed and space has not yet stretched open. The thought of such a place is almost beyond reach because our minds are tuned to rhythm and change. The heart beats, the lungs rise and fall. The day becomes night and returns again. Yet to step outside of the universe in imagination is to step into a hush without heartbeat or sunrise. The mind still tries to count. It whispers 1, 2, 3, but what is it counting? If nothing shifts, does the count hold meaning? The very act of counting is already an echo of a world that has begun. Scientists have long wrestled with this strangeness. When we speak of time, we often think of it as a thread running forward, but some physicists speak of time as a relation, a way to compare states. Consider two simple stones resting on a beach. If one stone is wet and the other dry, you can say, first the tide washed this one, then it left. The order is the sense of time. Without order, there is only a still picture. The still picture has no before and no after. It simply is. So in this view, time needs change to breathe. It is not a lone clock standing apart. It is the whisper that arises when one thing shifts into another. There is a poetic image called the arrow of time. It is the feeling that time flows like a river in only one direction, never turning back. But what draws the arrow? One answer is entropy. Entropy is a gentle word for disorder or for how many ways a thing can be arranged. A neat deck of cards has only one pattern. Shuffle the deck and now there are countless patterns. It is easier for the deck to stay shuffled than to leap back into neat order. The world seems to favor the easy path. So ice melts, perfume spreads, stars burn out. From these one-way roads, we sense that time must flow. Without them, would we feel time at all? If nothing wore down, if nothing drifted outward, would the arrow still point? When we look far into the sky, we see ancient light that has traveled for billions of years. That light is like a letter sent from the dawn. It shows us the universe when it was only a child. The cosmic microwave background is a faint glow that fills the night. It is older than any mountain, older than any ocean, older than the earth itself. It is a picture frozen in time, yet the fact that it has stretched, softened, and cooled as the universe expanded is what gives us a record. Time is written into its fading. Without expansion, without cooling, the glow would not tell. A story, it would be a blank canvas without brushstrokes. You can almost taste this truth when you sit by the ocean. The waves return again and again, but never in the same shape. Each wave is a new crest, a new fall. If the ocean stood frozen, a solid sheet of glass, would you still sense the hours passing? Perhaps you would look at the sun and see its angle shift. But if even the sun stood still, if even your own breath did not move, you would lose the measure. The waves are not time themselves, but they let you know time is there. They are the marks on the page that let the story be told. Some thinkers turn to mathematics, a place where symbols can hum without needing bodies or stars. In equations, time is often a variable, a symbol that slides like a bead on a string. The bead can move even if no real world exists to feel it. But does that count as time, or is it only a model, a rehearsal waiting for a stage? Imagine a script with lines written out. If no actor speaks them, do the words happen? They exist on paper, yes, but they are not alive in sound. In the same way, time in equations may exist as a script, but without a universe to perform it, the lines may never breathe. In quantum theory, the smallest stage of nature, time becomes even stranger. Some interpretations suggest that at the deepest level, the equations of the universe do not contain time at all. They describe relations between things, not the flow from before to after. Time might emerge only when we look at large collections, the way warmth emerges when atoms move together. If that is so, then without the universe, there is no warmth and no time, only a silent list of possible patterns waiting. The human heart, though, finds this hard to hold. We feel time as deeply as we feel love or loss. We remember childhood as a distant shore. We dream of tomorrow as a wide sea. Even when sitting still, we sense time tugging at us. We age, our cells divide and falter. Our hair carries whispers of sun and season. So to imagine time without the universe feels like imagining music without sound or a dance without steps. The form can be drawn, but the experience is empty. Consider the stars themselves. Each one is a clock. In its core, nuclear fires burn, fusing lighter elements into heavier ones. The fires consume fuel, and the star changes stage by stage. First a young, bright flame, then a swelling giant, then a quiet ember or a collapse into darkness. If we had no stars, no burning fuel, no change, would we still count cosmic ages? Perhaps only as ideas, but not as lived reality. The stars are the great keepers of cosmic rhythm. Without their song, silence might swallow the very sense of later. There is also the deep mystery of black holes. These heavy objects bend space and time around them. Near their edge, called the event horizon, time for a distant watcher seems to slow to almost nothing. A falling object appears to freeze, never quite reaching the edge. From its own view, though, it falls in. The two truths exist together, held by the fabric of space-time. This shows us that time is not one single beat. It bends and flexes with gravity. If time were truly apart from the universe, would it bend? Or is its very stretch a sign that time cannot stand alone? Now drift into the thought of the end. Scientists ask what will happen when the universe grows old. Some say it will keep expanding until galaxies grow too far apart to see each other. Stars will burn out, black holes will fade, and all will be cold. In that dark future, what will time mean? If no events break the silence, if no change sparks, the seconds may still tick in math, but in life they will blur into nothing. The universe may last, but the feeling of time will vanish, like a candle that once warmed a room but now is only wax. Yet perhaps at the root, time is not about clocks or stars, but about memory. Your mind strings events into a line. You feel the past as shadows of moments that have left marks on you. You imagine the future as a glow of possible steps ahead. If memory were erased, if every moment were alone, would you still feel time? Without the universe to hold memory in fossils, in starlight, in the fading rings of trees, there may be no thread to follow. And without a thread, the idea of time might slip through your fingers. Still, the question shines softly. Does time exist without the universe? It is a question that rests at the edge of science and wonder. We cannot test a place where nothing exists because the act of testing requires a world. But in the quiet of thought, we can imagine it, and in imagining, we find a tender truth. Perhaps time and the universe are not two separate things. Perhaps they are partners that rise together as dawn rises with the sun. To ask for one without the other may be like asking for a shadow without light. They are born in the same breath. As you let these thoughts ripple, notice how your own body is a clock, each breath arcs the present, each blink is a small measure. If you hold your breath, if you close your eyes, you might feel the seconds blur, and yet the heart continues, quietly keeping rhythm. In this way, you are the universe's way of holding time. Without you, time would still be written in stars, in tides, in the spin of planets. Without the universe, there may be no writer at all. And so the story settles, not with an answer, but with a hush. If time is the river, the universe is its banks. Without banks, the word river has no shape. If time is the song, the universe is the air. Without air, the song has no sound. The two live together, each completing the other. And as you close your eyes, you can rest in knowing that each breath you take is both the universe and time, woven into one gentle fabric. There is a dream that hums beneath science, a dream that time itself is not the ticking of clocks or the fading of stars, but a deeper rhythm woven into the fabric of reality. When you listen closely, you can almost hear it in the spaces between your breaths. It is not the beat of a drum, but the silence that makes the beat possible. In this silence, we are led back to the question, could this rhythm exist if the universe were not here to move with it? Or is time like sound, waiting for a medium, waiting for a world to carry its tone? Let us wander into the thought of cycles. The universe, as far as we know, has lived through patterns. There are ideas that perhaps before the Big Bang there was another collapse, another universe folding in on itself, like lungs exhaling before inhaling again. In such a picture, time does not end but turns, repeating like seasons. Winter does not kill the idea of spring, it only waits for the turn. If these cycles stretch back forever, perhaps time has no beginning, no need for a first second. Yet still, the cycle is the universe itself breathing. Without breath, there is no cycle. Without the universe, does time still have lungs to expand and contract? Others whisper of multiverses, great fields of bubbles, each bubble a universe with its own clock. In some bubbles, time may run in a way similar to ours. In others, it may stretch or bend in patterns we cannot picture. If there are infinite bubbles, does that mean there is a grand time beyond them all? Or are they each their own, sealed in their rhythm with no master clock above them? The question is like trying to imagine the ocean without water. Each wave is part of the sea. Each sea is part of the planet. To ask for the ocean without its waves may be the same as asking for time without its universes. The philosophers remind us gently that time is as much a concept as it is a measure. A child learns the word tomorrow before she learns what tomorrow feels like. She learns to wait for the sun, for the opening of a flower, for her mother's footsteps. Time is in the waiting, in the anticipation of change. Without a world, without a child, without a flower, who would wait, who would speak the word tomorrow? Words are rooted in things, and time may be rooted in the universe's things. Yet deep mathematics shows us another face. Some theories suggest that the laws of physics can be written without time at all. They describe relationships between shapes, patterns that hold steady without a ticking arrow. In these theories, time is not fundamental. It is like temperature, a large-scale effect that emerges when many small pieces interact. The true stage, they say, may be timeless. If so, then asking if time exists without the universe may be like asking if waves exist without the ocean. They do not, but the ocean itself, the deeper rules, may not need waves to exist. The timeless stage may sit beyond our reach, quiet and unmoving, with time blooming only when the universe opens. Think now of memory again, for memory is the inner face of time. Your heart recalls the voice of a friend, the scent of rain, the glow of last summer's dusk. These memories are marks left by change. They are grooves in the mind's record. Without change, there is nothing to record. Without recording, there is no memory. And without memory, time is a bare idea, a shape without flesh. The universe holds its own memories too. Fossils in rock, ice layers in glaciers, light stretched thin across sky. These are its grooves, its record. Without them, there is no melody, no sense of before. There is also the way of anticipation, the forward arm of time. We do not only look back, we lean forward. We plan meals, journeys, futures. Seeds in soil do the same. They wait for warmth, for rain, for a cue that tells them when to rise. The brain of a bird waits for sunlight to tilt before it sings its morning song. This leaning forward is part of time's spirit. Without a world to lean, to wait, to expect, would there be any tomorrow? Or would all be locked in a still now, too quiet even to be called now? Still, there are those who imagine time as eternal, existing before. Ray and beyond, they say the universe could be born in time, like a child born into a family that already existed. In this picture, time is the greater home, the house into which universes step. If so, then even if our world vanished, time would remain as an empty house. Yet an empty house without voices, without footsteps, without laughter is still a hollow thing. It may exist, but its existence is pale. Time without a universe might be like that, bare walls with no story to carry. When you think of time as eternal, you might picture a blank, endless line. Marks are drawn upon it. This is the birth of a star, this is the folding of a mountain, this is your hand opening to catch rain. If the line exists without marks, it is still a line. But is it truly time, or is it only the potential for time, waiting for marks to appear? A canvas without paint can exist, but until color touches it, there is no picture. Perhaps time without the universe is such a canvas, silent, blank, and waiting. In the lab, the best clocks we build are not endless lines, but cycles, repeating changes. A cesium atom vibrates again and again, and we count those vibrations as seconds. A photon bounces, a quartz crystal hums. Each clock is tied to a thing. If the things vanish, the clock vanishes. This suggests a truth. Time as we use it is never apart from the universe. It is the measure of its dances. Without dancers, there is no dance, only the idea of one. And so we circle back to the hush, to the quiet room without motion. You sit, you breathe, you wonder. If nothing stirs, is there still a beat beneath the silence? Perhaps there is, but it is not one we can know. Perhaps time without the universe is like a dream you cannot recall upon waking. You feel it almost, but the moment slips away, leaving only the sense that something was there. The most peaceful answer may be this: time and the universe are not separate. They are two sides of one coin, two hands of one body. To ask for one without the other may be a question without air. And yet in the asking you touch something deep, something that binds you to stars and stones alike. Because to ask, does time exist without the universe, is also to ask, do I exist without the world? And the soft reply is that you and the world rise together, breath and air, shadow and light. So let the thought rest. Let the river of time carry you gently, knowing it is carved by the banks of the universe itself. Let your heart be at ease, for you are part of both the clock and the hands, the song and the air. And as you drift into quiet, remember, without you the universe would lose a voice that asks about time. Without the universe, your voice would lose a place to sing. Together, you are the harmony. Together, you are the ticking of the first clock, still beating softly before creation. Far above the clouds, where air grows thin and silence stretches wider than any ocean, the stars look back at us like ancient eyes. Their light is old, so old that each ray is a memory. When you lift your gaze to the night, you are not seeing the stars as they are, but as they once were. A bright point may already have burned out, yet its glow is still falling toward you, crossing empty miles. The night sky is not a mirror of the present. It is a library of the past. Each twinkle is a page. Each page is written in light, and each word tells you that time travels with the stars. This is why astronomers say that when you look at the sky, you are looking backward. The sun itself is not as you see it now. Its rays need minutes to reach your skin. The nearest star beyond the sun is already years old by the time its light arrives. Galaxies painted as swirls in the telescope are not present moments, but fossils of light preserved for millions or even billions of years. The universe does not give us a clean window into now. It offers echoes, fading notes of songs once sung. And in these echoes, we feel the depth of time more strongly than in any clock. Think of it as ripples on a pond. When you throw a stone, the waves spread outward. Long after the stone has sunk, the ripples still reach the edge. In the same way, events in the universe send out ripples of light, of particles, of gravity. They travel across space, carrying with them a record of when they began. To catch them is to catch history itself. Astronomers build great mirrors and lenses to gather these ripples, to listen with their eyes. They are like readers leaning close to faded ink, trying to piece together the story of how the world was born. One of the faintest but most profound of these echoes is the cosmic microwave background. It is a thin, cold glow that wraps the universe, stretched thin by time. It comes from when the cosmos was just a child, a few 100,000 years after its birth. Before that glow was released, the universe was a fog. Light could not travel far without being stopped. But when atoms formed and the fog cleared, light at last began to fly freely. That light still travels now, filling the sky in every direction, too soft for your eyes to see, but clear to the instruments we build. To measure it is to hear the faint heartbeat of the universe's earliest days. There are other louder echoes too. When a star collapses into a supernova, the explosion sends out not only light but also neutrinos, ghostly particles that pass through nearly everything. A wave of neutrinos from a dying star once passed through Earth, long before the light of the explosion reached our telescopes. These invisible messengers carried the story ahead of the glow. Time is written in many languages, in light, in particles, in gravity waves that stretch space itself. Each language whispers the same truth. The universe remembers, and it shares its memories with us across the dark. To stand under the stars is to stand under a rain of memories. The night feels still, but it is full of travel. Each photon is a traveler that began its journey long ago. Some began when your ancestors were still learning to make fire. Some began before Earth itself was formed. They have been moving ever since, never resting, never slowing until they touch your eye. In that moment, you and the star are bound by a thread of time that stretches across the cosmos. The connection is silent, but it is real. It says that even across emptiness, the universe keeps its stories. Now imagine drifting far away from Earth, past the reach of our sun, into the wider sea of galaxies. Each galaxy holds billions of stars, and each star sends its own messages outward. The farther you travel, the farther back in time you see. Look deep enough and you approach the edge of the visible universe. You see light that left before our planet existed, before our sun was lit, before life learned to breathe. This sight is not the beginning of all, but it is the farthest echo we can catch. Beyond it, the universe is still hidden, perhaps still speaking in ways we have not yet learned to hear. It is strange to think that the past surrounds us like this. We often imagine the past as something left behind, something that slips away. But in the cosmos, the past does not vanish so quickly. It travels onward, preserved in the flight of light and particles. If your eyes could see across the whole electromagnetic spectrum, you would find yourself bathed in stories. Radio waves humming from ancient clouds, X-rays from fierce collisions, microwaves from the universe's dawn. Time is stitched into every corner of the sky. The stars are not just points. They are diaries recording in light the passing of ages. And yet, for all their distance, the stars remind us of the present too. Their echoes tell us that time is not a single flow. It bends, it stretches. It can take billions of years for a photon to travel, and yet when it strikes your eye, it feels instant. That is the paradox. Light has no rest frame, no sense of waiting. For the photon, the journey is timeless. It leaves and it arrives in the same breath. Time for the traveler is not the same as time for the watcher. The echo in this way teaches us that time is not one single voice, but a choir of many voices, each with its own song. Think of your own voice calling into a canyon. The echo that returns is not the same as your first cry, but it carries its shape. It lets you know that sound has moved through space, touched the walls, and come back. The stars are such canyons, vast beyond thought. Their echoes are the light and waves that reach us, carrying news of what they once were. In those echoes, we find both distance and closeness. They remind us that while we are small, we are still listeners in the great hall of the cosmos. able to hear what was sung long before we arrived. So the night sky in its quiet way is not silent at all. It is full of voices, full of memories, full of time's soft footsteps. And when you look up, you become part of the story. For in catching the echoes, you carry them onward. You become another link in the chain of time, another page in the book of the stars. The universe speaks, you listen, and together you weave the fabric of memory. That is the gift of the echoes. They are not just relics of the past. They are bridges binding your brief present to the long song of the cosmos. Now let us drift deeper into the echoes, letting the night sky open like a book of soft pages. Each star, each faint smear of galaxy is a memory still unfolding. When you look at them, you are not looking at distance alone, you are looking at duration. Every beam of starlight has carried a clock within it. That clock does not tick in numbers but in age. The color of the light shifts with time, stretching longer as it travels, until once blue waves arrive at your eyes as red. This stretching is called redshift, and it is the gentle fingerprint of an expanding universe. The farther away a galaxy lies, the older its light and the greater its shift. In this the very hue of the stars, tells a story of how long they have been singing across space. This idea that light carries time is not only poetic, it is practical. Astronomers can measure the redshift of a galaxy and learn how far back in history they are seeing. A galaxy glowing faintly might be billions of years old, its light leaving when Earth was only dust and gas. Another, glowing brighter and closer, may have left its light when dinosaurs roamed. The universe is a layered time machine. The nearer stars are yesterday, the farthest galaxies are ancient chapters, and the cosmic microwave background is the prologue. To look outward is always to look backward, and to measure distance is to measure memory. Consider also the echoes carried not in light but in rhythm. Pulsars are remnants of dead stars that spin rapidly, sending beams of energy out like cosmic lighthouses. Their signals are steady, so steady that they rival our finest clocks. Each pulse is a second's passing. When astronomers detect them, they can time their arrival with astonishing precision. In this way, the universe itself keeps time. These pulses, reaching us across thousands of light years, are reminders that stars remember how to beat, how to measure, how to echo time even after their fiery deaths. And there are larger echoes still, carried not by light or particles but by the very fabric of space. Gravitational waves ripple outward when massive objects like black holes collide. They are whispers in space-time, stretching and squeezing everything they pass. When detectors on Earth first caught such a wave, it was like hearing the universe's heartbeat directly. That wave had traveled for over 1 billion years. By the time it reached us, the black holes that created it had long vanished into one. Yet their final moments still rang across the cosmos, still pressed gently on our planet. Time had carried their farewell like a song that would not end. These cosmic echoes remind us that time is not erased but carried onward. The death of a star, the collapse of a galaxy, the birth of light, all these events leave traces. Space itself becomes the library of time, its shelves stacked not with paper but with waves and particles. To walk outside at night is to step into that library, to find yourself surrounded by records too vast to read in one lifetime. Every glance at the stars is like opening a page. Every telescope is a magnifying glass on a word written long ago. Yet as we read, we must remember the paradox. The past shines down on us, but it is not the whole past. Light takes time, and so we see only what is left, not what is happening now. A galaxy whose light shows its still forming stars may have already faded to silence. A star that twinkles above may have already died. This truth carries a quiet sadness but also a deep wonder. The sky we see is a mixture of what was and what is no longer. It is a painting that keeps updating in parts, yet always with delays. To gaze upward is to gaze into the honesty of impermanence. Imagine for a moment that you could move faster than light, a dream forbidden by physics. You would not only travel distance, you would travel time. You could chase echoes back to their source, seeing stars as they are now rather than as they were. You could catch the moment of a galaxy's birth, the instant of a star's collapse. But in our reality, bound to slower speeds, we must content ourselves with delay. We do not see the present universe, we see its memories. And perhaps that is a gift, for it lets us know that nothing is ever fully lost. Even when stars fade, their light may continue to travel, reaching eyes that did not exist when it began. This journey of echoes also teaches us humility. The universe is not centered on our now. Our present moment is small compared to the vast durations written in starlight. Civilizations may rise and fall while the glow of one distant star still travels toward us. Whole forests may bloom and wither while a single photon crosses the void. We live in seconds, but the cosmos breathes in eons. To listen to its echoes is to stretch our sense of time beyond the human scale, into something almost infinite. Still, we are not only listeners. We too send echoes outward. Every broadcast, every flash of light from Earth travels into space. Long after we are gone, signals of our voices and our songs will continue to drift. Perhaps one day another being far away will catch an echo of us, faint but real, and they will know that once on a small blue planet there were creatures who wondered about time. In this way, we become part of the same cosmic memory. The stars echo to us and we echo back. And so, as we close our eyes beneath the night sky, we can feel the universe as a great hall of mirrors. Each star reflects a moment long gone. Each galaxy is a lantern burning with ancient oil. Each wave of light is a whisper across eternity. To lie beneath it is to lie beneath history itself. Wrapped in a blanket woven of echoes, you are not apart from it. You are within it, a listener and a keeper. And when you breathe in the cool night air, you are breathing the same air touched by starlight billions of years old. In that breath, the past becomes present, and the present becomes timeless. The echoes of the cosmos do not end with light alone. They live in every grain of dust, every atom of hydrogen, every whisper of radiation that drifts through the universe. Each carries a story, a timestamp etched into its being. When you touch a stone on Earth, you touch minerals that formed billions of years ago. The atoms in your body were forged in stars that lived and died before the sun was born. You are, in this way, an echo too, an echo of stellar furnaces and cosmic storms. Time has left its fingerprints on you, as surely as it has on the sky. Let us think again of the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light we can see. It is not loud, it is not bright. It is a whisper of warmth stretched into coolness by the universe's expansion. Yet that faint glow holds secrets of everything that came after. The patterns of its ripples foretold the birth of galaxies, the gathering of stars, the clustering of matter into planets and people. That whisper is an echo not only of what was but of what would be. In it, the universe sang its own future, and we are listening to that song even now. Beyond the background glow, there are still deeper echoes we have not yet heard. Physicists search for traces of gravitational waves from the first instant of creation itself. If such waves exist, they would be like the universe's first heartbeat, pulsing through the newborn fabric of space-time. To hear them would be to touch the edge of time, to listen to a moment when there was no before. That echo, if found, would be the oldest story ever told, a memory of the universe's own awakening. But the stars also teach us of endings. When a star dies, it leaves behind echoes that endure long after its light fades. Some collapse into white dwarfs, faint embers cooling slowly for trillions of years. Others explode, scattering their elements across space, seeding clouds that will form new stars and planets. Every atom of iron in your blood, every atom of calcium in your bones was once part of such an explosion. You are walking stardust, held together by echoes of death and rebirth. Time itself is written into your cells, each heartbeat a continuation of a rhythm begun long before Earth was formed. Even the galaxies themselves echo. They collide, they merge, they spin new shapes from old. When telescopes capture images of distant collisions, we are seeing not only the dance of stars but the passing of eras. Those echoes remind us that nothing is fixed, that even the grandest of structures is subject to change. Time leaves no corner untouched. It smooths mountains, dims suns, and reshapes galaxies. Yet in doing so, it creates new forms, new chances, new beauty. If echoes are memory, they are also guides. By studying them, we learn not only where we came from, but where we might go. The expansion of the universe, traced through the stretching of light, tells us that space is growing faster and faster. A mysterious energy seems to be driving this growth, something we call dark energy but do not yet understand. Its presence is another echo, another sign that time itself may hold surprises beyond our grasp. The stars whisper that the future may not be endless warmth but something stranger. Perhaps a quiet freeze, perhaps a collapse, perhaps something we cannot yet name. In all cases, the echoes are our only map. Yet even maps have limits. There is a horizon we cannot see past, a boundary set by the speed of light and the age of the cosmos. Beyond it, more stars may shine, more galaxies may spin, more echoes may travel, but they will never reach us. They belong to another region of time's great book, one we cannot open. To live in the universe is to live with edges, to know that the echoes we hear are only part of the full song, and perhaps that is enough. For even a fragment of infinity is still vast beyond measure. On Earth, we also create echoes of time. Ancient cave paintings are whispers of human beginnings. Fossils in stone are echoes of creatures that once walked here. Music, too, is an echo, each note lingering in air before it fades. Even your voice, reading these words silently in your mind, is a kind of echo, the soundless rhythm of thought shaped by memory. We are not apart from the cosmos. We are its continuation, its listeners, its storytellers. Our lives are short, but in the shortness we add to the chorus. We leave marks that may become someone else's echoes. So when you stand beneath the stars, remember that you are not only seeing light, you are receiving letters written across billions of years. You are part of a dialogue, a quiet exchange between the universe and itself. The stars send, you receive, and in your receiving, you give back through thought, through wonder, through the simple act of remembering. Time does not erase these moments. It carries them forward, folding them into the next echo, and the next, and the next. And as you close your eyes, imagine yourself as a note in the cosmic symphony. Around you are other notes, stars, galaxies, waves, and whispers. Together they form a song that began long before and will continue long after. Each echo is not only the past, but also the present's gift to the future. You are woven into that gift, carried on the same river of time that delivers starlight to your skin. You are both an echo and a listener of echoes. And in that gentle truth you can rest, knowing that nothing, not even the faintest whisper of light, is ever truly lost. Picture a night so quiet that even the stars seem to hold their breath. You step outside and feel the air rest on your skin like cool water. The world is still. No car passes, no leaf shakes, no bird calls from a hidden branch. In that deep calm, it is easy to think of space as a sleeping thing, a wide bed of darkness where nothing stirs. And yet, even in this hush, your watch keeps ticking. A second becomes another, and another after that. If space is asleep, then what is time doing? Is it awake, keeping guard? Or is it dreaming, building soft stories beneath the surface, stories we can feel but cannot see? Let us begin by walking to the edge of a quiet field. Above you stretches a sky that looks empty but is not. Space may look like a blank page, yet it holds a hidden script. It has shape. It can bend. It can swell and thin like the skin of a drum. When heavy things like stars and planets sit on it, they press it down. When space is empty, it relaxes and lies flat like a smooth sheet. This is the gentle lesson of gravity. Mass and energy tell space how to curve, and the curve tells matter and light how to move. In a place far from every sun and every planet, space is close to flat again. It seems to sleep, but the sleep is not nothing. It is a kind of calm posture, a resting pose the universe knows well. Now hold a clock in your hand and take a step close to a mountain. The pull of the earth is stronger there than on a high plain. Your clock in the valley runs a tiny bit slower than a clock on a tall cliff. This is not a trick of tools. It is how time behaves when space is pushed down by mass. Where the curve is deeper, time stretches and drifts. Where there is less pull, time brightens and quickens like a stream running free. So if you could float in a dark, empty place between galaxies, with no heavy body near to press on space, your clock would tick a little faster than the clocks on a world like ours. Space would be resting, and time would be awake, swift and light on its feet. But what is an empty place? We like to say vacuum and picture a jar with all the air pumped out. In the old days, people thought of vacuum as pure nothing, a room with no furniture at all. Today, we have learned a softer truth. Even when there is no air, no dust, and no stars, space is not bare. It is filled with fields, gentle, invisible waves that spread everywhere. One field carries light. Another carries the pull of weak forces. Others sit quiet most of the time. These fields can never be perfectly still. They tremble a little even in their sleep. The tremble is tiny, but it is real. It is called the vacuum's zero-point motion. It is like the quiet breath of a baby sleeping. The chest rises, falls, rises again, even when the room is silent. You can almost feel this breath through a simple thought. Imagine two very thin metal plates facing each other with a narrow space between them. Outside the plates, the sea of small trembles has many waves of many sizes. Between the plates, only some waves can fit. The outside has more possible ripples than the inside does. The outside pushes a little harder. The plates feel a gentle nudge toward each other. This soft push is called the Casimir effect. It whispers that empty space is not empty at all. Even when space seems to be asleep, there is a dream moving under the blanket. If empty space has a breath, then time has a partner to dance with even in the dark. The fields change a little and time keeps count. The counting is not like the steps of a marching band. It is like the pulse in your wrist when you are still. You do not make it happen. It happens because you live. In the same way, time in vacuum is not a loud clock on a wall. It is a soft, steady rhythm that belongs to the fields simply because they are there. Now lift your eyes and think of the largest sleep of all, the long, smooth stretch of space between galaxy clusters. Out here, light travels for ages without meeting a star. The distances are so wide that the mind grows fizzy trying to picture them. In these great voids, space is close to quiet, yet something even larger hums across the whole. The fabric of the universe is growing, dist. Ant galaxies are not sailing through a fixed sea. Rather, the sea itself is swelling, carrying them apart. We call this expansion. It is slow to our eyes, but steady. It is as if the sleeping sheet of space takes long, gentle breaths, and with each breath the threads move a little farther from each other. There is a name we use for the push that seems to speed this swelling: dark energy. We do not yet know its face, but we feel its hand. It acts like a soft pressure built into the vacuum itself. Even when there are no stars, even when space seems most empty, the pressure remains. It is mild, but it does not tire. Over long ages, it adds up. This means that space, even when quiet, has a kind of purpose. It does not only lie there, it grows. So when space sleeps, time may indeed be dreaming of more space, of larger rooms, of distances stretching like taffy in warm fingers. Let us drift closer to a black hole, but not too close. A black hole is a place where matter has fallen in and pressed space down so sharply that the curve turns into a cliff. Light that wanders too near cannot climb back out. At the edge of that cliff, the event horizon time for a faraway watcher seems to crawl. A clock falling toward the edge looks slower and slower. If you could hang safely far away and watch, you would never see the clock cross the line. It would freeze like a last raindrop on a window that will not fall. But for the clock itself, the fall would feel quick. It would cross over and be gone. Two views, both true in their own frames. Time here is not a single stream. It is many streams that flow at different speeds depending on how space is bent. Near the edge, a strange thing happens to the vacuum. The quiet trembles of the fields can split into pairs of tiny sparks. One spark slips in, the other escapes as a very faint glow. This soft light is called Hawking radiation. It says even the blackest sleep has a seam of brightness. It says that space at its most steep and space at its most calm both share the same shy breath. The idea is hard, but the picture is simple. Wherever space exists, time has something to do because the fields cannot be perfectly still. There is always a whisper, always a tiny change to count. Now return to a gentle room where a person sits with closed eyes and slow breath. The room is not completely soundless. Pipes tick now and then. A house settles on its frame. Far away, a train sighs. In your body, even when you do nothing, cells talk to cells. They trade small messages. The heart moves blood in patient waves. The brain hums with quiet signals, not a shout, but a soft swarm. Sleep is not the end of activity. It is a different kind of activity, folded and dim. In the same way, space that seems asleep is not empty of motion. Its motion is low and quiet, a hum that becomes a song only when something shakes it hard. What then is time's dream? Perhaps it is the story that appears when quiet motion finds a shape. When a cloud of gas slowly cools, it can gather into a star. The cooling takes time. The gathering is time's handwriting on the cloud, a thin script that says first this, then that. When a star burns for a long season, time is the glow counting out its fuel. When the star dies and its ash drifts out to seed a newborn world, time is the path the ash takes, a long loop from fire to rock to living skin. In each case, the dream inside sleeping space has a chance to rise and show its face. We give that dream a name we know well: change. Some thinkers picture all of time laid out at once, like a loaf with every slice already there. In that calm picture, nothing moves. The slices simply are. But even a picture on a wall can feel alive when you walk past it. Your mind is the motion that turns the slices into a film. Your memory is the thread that ties one slice to the next. The universe may be like that. Perhaps the slices exist, yet in each slice fields still breathe. The breath writes tiny marks. The marks become patterns. The patterns become stars, rivers, voices. From that soft inside activity, a world rises. If so, then time's dream is the world itself coming into focus, again and again, in each thin slice. Let us think for a moment about clocks. We make them from many things. A quartz crystal hums, a pendulum swings, a cesium atom vibrates in a way so steady that we can count its shivers for years and trust the total. But all these clocks are really small stories of change. What they show is not time itself, but a change that repeats. They are careful dancers who step on the same beats over and over. If you remove the dancer, the beats stop. If you remove the field, the hum ends. So even in the most careful room, even in the emptiest lab we can build, our best clocks still rely on matter and energy and the quiet breath of fields to do their work. Take those away, and there is nothing left to count. In that sense, when space sleeps without a single stir, time has no numbers, only a H. Hush. And yet the hush is not meaningless. It can hold a promise. Think of a clean page the moment before the first word. That moment is empty of letters, but full of the chance for letters. It is not dead. It is ready. Or think of a stage with the curtain closed. Behind the curtain, the actors wait, the lights are cool, and the air smells faintly of paint and wood. The audience is quiet, but their hearts are bright with hope. The show has not started, but a shape of it hovers there. In the same way, sleeping space can hold the readiness for time to speak. The dream is the shape, the soft script not yet read aloud. When dawn comes, the world wakes and small changes gather into larger ones. Frost melts on the fence. A bee stumbles from a flower dusted with gold. The school bell taps the morning and children spill like bright marbles onto a playground. In each tiny event, time peeks out from under space's blanket. You can almost see it smile. The bee's flight, the child's laugh, the shadow shrinking on the wall. These are time's first words after a night of quiet. They tell you that the dream never stopped. It has only shifted tone. Now carry your thoughts back to the widest scales again. On those scales, space itself sets the tempo. The distance between far galaxies grows. Waves older than any star pass through, stretching and squeezing every yardstick as they go. Time on a planet like ours feels fast because our lives are short and full of vivid change. Time in a great void feels slow because the notes are long and low, but both songs belong to one same score. The score is written in how space holds itself, how it bends, how it breathes, how it glows in faint light that began when the universe was young. To listen is to notice, and to notice is to join the music. There is kindness in this view. It says you are not a stranger dropped into a cold room. You are part of the room's breath. The iron in your blood came from a buried star. The calcium in your bones is ash from an ancient flame. The water in your cells once drifted as steam among rocks or as ice on the dark side of a tiny moon. The fields in empty space touch the fields in you. Their sigh is your sigh. Their small tremble is echoed in the small tremble of your heart when you feel love, or fear, or peace that warms you from inside out. So when you ask, when space sleeps, does time dream? You may answer softly, yes, space rests in wide sheets and slow breaths. Time dreams in the hush, counting the gentle ripples of fields, ready to wake when change steps onto the stage. The dream is not a loud tale with thunder and fire. It is a lullaby, a patient line knit by a careful hand. It holds the first words of the next day and the last words of the one that is ending. It holds the seed of a star and the frost that will shine on a fence before the sun warms it away. At the end of this long thought, close your eyes. Feel your own breath as a small tide. Feel the weight of your body on the chair or the bed. Around you is a room. Around the room is a town. Around the town, a sky. Around the sky, a forest of galaxies drifting apart like dandelion seeds on a slow wind. Between the seeds lies a dark that is not empty, a dark that hums with quiet life. In that dark, time is not lost. It is at work even in sleep, dreaming of pages you have not yet read, and mornings you have not yet seen. And as you rest, you are part of that dream, safe and small, carried gently on the wide, sleeping hands of space. Now let us drift further into the silence, as if we were floating in the calm heart of space itself. Out here, there are no footsteps to break the hush, no rivers to murmur, no leaves to rustle. The only sound is the one your mind creates. Space lies before you like a dark meadow where nothing stirs. Yet if you listen carefully, you may sense something hidden beneath the stillness, as though space itself carries a secret pulse. This pulse is not the kind you hear with your ears. It is a rhythm written into the fabric of reality, a rhythm that whispers even when all else rests. Could this be the dream of time, a dream that flows softly while space sleeps? Consider how the universe itself drifts between waking and sleeping states. In its early moments, it was loud, hot, and bright. Particles crashed into each other, light scattered wildly, and time was thick with change. But as the universe stretched, it cooled. Clouds of gas formed, stars lit, galaxies spun. Now, billions of years later, large regions of space have grown quiet. Between galaxy clusters stretch vast voids where very little happens. They are the sleeping fields of the cosmos, dark and still. Yet even these fields are not empty. Invisible energy glides through them, particles flicker in and out of being, and faint ripples of gravity continue their patient march. In the deepest calm, time's dream still murmurs. This murmuring becomes clearer when we think of quantum fields. Physics tells you that every part of space is filled with these fields, like an invisible fabric. Even when they seem to rest, they tremble slightly. This trembling is not noise but necessity, for quantum fields can never be perfectly still. If they stopped completely, their very nature would unravel. And so, even when space appears to be sleeping, it is never fully asleep. It dreams through these tremors, tiny as they are. Time keeps watch over those tremors, measuring them, letting them build a rhythm. In the smallest dances of fields, the flow of time finds a partner, and together they drift like two musicians playing a lullaby. Imagine, for example, the gentle light of the cosmic microwave background. It is faint and cool now, but once it was a searing glow, released when the universe was young. That light has traveled for nearly 14 billion years, stretching and softening as space expanded. It fills every corner of the sky like a thin, even mist. It is the afterglow of creation itself, but today it hums quietly like the fading echo of a song long sung. This glow is a perfect example of how time dreams. The light carries memory of what once was, while space, wide and calm, drapes itself in stillness. The dream is not loud, yet it holds the story of everything that followed. Now step closer to black holes again, those strange places where sleep and dream blur into one. A black hole is often pictured as silence itself, a place where all things fall inward and never return. But in truth, black holes are not perfectly silent. They radiate faint whispers, born from the trembling of space at their edge. This hawking radiation is like a dream escaping the deepest sleep. It tells us that even in the most absolute darkness, space cannot be entirely still. Time continues its dreaming, weaving a faint story from particles that shimmer and vanish. A black hole may be quiet, but its edges hum with the secret heartbeat of time. The idea that time might dream is more than poetry. It reflects how scientists imagine spacetime at its root. Some theories suggest that time does not exist on its own at the smallest scales. Instead, it emerges from the interactions of things. Time might be a result of change rather than a container for it. If this is true, then in places where little changes, time itself slows its song. In sleeping voids, time may not stop, but it may drift more softly, like a slow river under ice. Its dream would be the continuation of motion, subtle and hidden, waiting for a moment to show itself again. Think too of stars as they slumber. A star is awake when it burns, fusing hydrogen into helium, releasing light and warmth. But when the fuel runs out, the fire dims. The star cools, shrinking into a faint ember, a white dwarf that glows gently for trillions of years. It is not dead, but it is sleeping, holding its heat like a fading coal. Even then, time dreams in its core. Slowly, it loses energy, radiating its memory of fire into the night. Each faint photon is an echo of what it once was. The star is resting, but its rest is not void. It is a dream of what it has been, a dream that continues to shine softly outward. Closer to home, our own planet also carries these contrasts. When the night falls, cities grow quiet, people close their eyes and streets fall silent. Yet beneath the ground, molten rock continues to churn, tectonic plates continue to drift, and the core of the earth continues to spin. In the quiet above, life sleeps. But below, the planet's dream continues, as if the earth itself were a sleeper breathing steadily through the long dark. Time's dream here is layered, part waking, part resting, part hidden deep inside. The surface may pause, but the core never does. Now return to the voids between galaxies where darkness reigns. What does it mean for time to dream there? Perhaps it means that even in stillness, possibility remains. A photon may cross that void, carrying news from a distant star. A particle may flicker into existence, only to vanish again. A faint gravitational wave may pass through, stretching and squeezing the dark by a fraction too small to notice. These are the whispers of time in its dream, subtle but persistent. They say that even in the widest sleep, the story never ends completely. Time is always at work, always counting, always preparing the next chapter. The dream of time may also be what binds the universe together. Consider entanglement, that curious bond between particles born together. Even when far apart, their states are linked. A change in one seems to echo in the other instantly. Some scientists wonder if time itself emerges from these links, from the web of connections between things. If that is true, then when space sleeps, time's dream is the quiet hum of connection, the hidden thread that keeps the universe whole. Without the dream, the fabric would fall apart. With it, even silence has structure. It is comforting to think of space and time in this way. W. When you sleep, you do not vanish. You drift into a state where your body restores itself, your mind weaves dreams, and your heart continues its steady rhythm. Sleep is not nothing. It is a softer form of being. Space, too, may not vanish when quiet. It may simply change its mode, becoming softer, slower, gentler. Time does not abandon it, but stays nearby, humming softly, dreaming through the stillness until movement returns. And as you sit with this thought, you may notice how your own life reflects it. You have moments of great noise when days are filled with action, decisions, and change. And you have moments of quiet when nothing seems to move. Yet even in your quietest hours, time is not absent. It is dreaming inside you. Your cells continue their work, your heart continues its beat, your thoughts continue to wander. Life, like the universe, is always dreaming, even when it sleeps. And in that dreaming, the story continues, one moment flowing gently into the next. So when you ask, when space sleeps, does time dream? You may find the answer in your own breath, in your own silence. Yes, time dreams as you do. Its dream is the persistence of possibility, the patience of the universe waiting for the next spark. In the hush of space, in the pause of night, in the rest of a planet or a star, time continues its quiet work, weaving the unseen threads that will become tomorrow. And in that thought, you may rest as well, knowing that silence is never empty. It is full of the softest kind of life. There is a peace that comes with imagining the universe at rest, stretched out like a sleeper beneath a blanket of stars. In this vision, galaxies drift far apart, their light thinning into the distance until great silences surround them. Space looks still, as if the cosmos itself has paused for breath. Yet in that pause lies the question that has followed us through the ages. If space can sleep, if the stage can fall quiet, does time still move through the silence? Or does time, too, fall into a dream, where it whispers its story only to itself. Let us step closer to the edge of this thought. We know that time often shows itself through change, through the turning of earth, through the brightening and fading of stars, through the growth of forests and the flow of rivers. But if all of this slowed, if every flame cooled, if every planet drifted into stillness, what then? Would time be gone, or would it be waiting, patient as a clock with hands that no longer move? Perhaps time's dream is exactly this: the persistence of rhythm even when the music is hushed, the readiness for change even when change has paused. Think of a seed resting in soil through a long winter. To the eye, it is asleep. No root stretches downward, no stem pushes up. Yet inside, in the hidden dark, there is a faint hum of life. The seed dreams of spring. Its cells hold the memory of what they will become. They are not yet active, but they are not nothing. The same may be true of space. When galaxies drift apart, when stars fade, when black holes cool to embers, there may remain a seed-like potential. Time does not vanish. It lingers as a dream, a readiness for renewal, a whisper that says not yet but soon. Now picture the far future of the universe, a future scientists call the heat death. In this vision, all stars have burned out, black holes have evaporated into faint radiation. The universe is cold, spread thin, with no great engines of change left. To us, this sounds like sleep without waking, an endless rest. But even then, the smallest tremors of space may continue. Particles may flicker into being, dance for a heartbeat, and disappear. Time's dream would continue through these faint flickers, carrying the story forward in subtle, nearly invisible steps. The dream would not be loud, but it would not end. In another vision, the universe does not fade forever, but collapses inward, folding back upon itself in a great sleep. Some theories suggest it could one day reverse its expansion, drawing galaxies together, shrinking stars, and pressing all matter into a single point once more. If this were to happen, the dream of time would be of return rather than departure. The story would not be one of silence, but of circling, a cosmic breath that exhales and inhales, expanding and collapsing across ages. In such a picture, time never vanishes. It turns in on itself, like a dream that repeats with different colors and shapes. Dreams themselves may be our best guide for understanding. When you dream at night, your body rests. The world around you is quiet, yet within, your mind creates entire landscapes, entire stories. In the same way, when space rests, time may weave quiet dreams through its fabric. These dreams may not look like stars or galaxies. They may not shine like suns. They may be subtler, mathematical patterns, trembling fields, the gentle push of dark energy that ensures expansion continues. To us, they appear invisible. To time, they may be the very essence of dreaming. It is also worth asking whether the dream of time is different depending on the scale. In the life of a human, a moment of silence is brief, a pause before the next word, the next step. In the life of a planet, silence may last centuries as glaciers wait and forests sleep. In the life of the universe, silence may last billions of years. What feels eternal to us may be only a nap to the cosmos. To time itself, silence may simply be another rhythm, another chapter of the dream. What matters is not how long the silence lasts, but that it still carries possibility. Consider again the image of space as a great sleeper. A sleeper's chest rises and falls, even in the deepest rest. Space, too, breathes. It expands, carrying galaxies farther apart. This expansion is slow to our eyes, but across billions of years it reshapes everything. The breath of space is time's dream written on the largest scales. Even when no stars flicker, even when no planets turn, space itself is moving, stretching, becoming. The dream does not stop because the breath does not stop. It is the most patient of lullabies, one that continues long after our own stories have closed. And within that lullaby, you exist. Your life may feel brief compared to the vast dream of the cosmos, but it is not separate. The atoms in your body are part of the dream. They were shaped by stars, carried by space, and gathered into you through the patient unfolding of time. Every breath you take is both your own and the universe's. You are a sleeper and a dreamer too, resting in the same rhythm that guides galaxies and seeds alike. Time dreams in you as much as it dreams in the stars. So when you ask if time dreams while space sleeps, you are really asking about yourself as well. Do you continue when you rest? Do you vanish in sleep, or do you drift into another form of being, softer but still alive? The answer is gentle. Sleep is not absence. It is presence in another form. Space's rest is not absence either. It is a softer mode where time continues its quiet dream until movement stirs again. The universe may one day fall into its deepest slumber, but even then, time will dream on, carrying its story in whispers too faint for us to hear. Let us end with an image, you lying beneath the night sky, eyes closed, listening. Around you is a town asleep, a world asleep, perhaps even stars asleep. Yet the air is filled with memory, faint echoes of ancient light, faint tremors of space itself, faint whispers of time dreaming. You may feel small in this moment, but you are also vast, for you share in that dream. You are not separate from it. You are its voice, its listener, its continuation. And when you finally fall asleep, you join the rhythm that has always been, the rhythm of space at rest and time in dream. It is a rhythm that carries you gently forward, even when you do not notice, even when the world is quiet. Imagine standing on the edge of a wide river at dusk. The water moves quietly without hurry, carrying leaves, reflections, and whispers downstream. You cannot see its beginning and you cannot see its end. It simply flows. Time often feels like this river, endless, patient, beyond our grasp. But this river is stranger than any on earth. It has no shores. It does not carve banks, nor does it flood fields. It flows through everything, touching every atom, every star, every thought. You are always in it, always carried by its current, though you cannot step out to see it from above. This is the river of time, and it surrounds us all. Think of how the river touches you each day. The rise of the sun, the stretch of shadows, the bloom of flowers, the silvering of hair, all are signs of its movement. And yet you cannot hold the river in your hands. You cannot lift a cup of time as you would water. You can only notice its passing, only feel how it carries you from one moment to the next. The river flows without shores because it is not confined. There is no edge to step onto, no dry ground to rest upon. The flow is everywhere. It is not outside you nor inside you, it simply is. Scientists have often tried to measure this river, to give its flow a rhythm we can understand. They built clocks, sundials that follow shadows, sandglasses that let grains fall, pendulums that swing back and forth. Later they built atomic clocks, steady beyond imagination, counting the tiny vibrations of atoms. Each clock is like a cup dipped into the river, scooping out a rhythm we can use. But no cup can hold the whole, no measure can stop the flow. The river continues beyond our tools, beyond our numbers, without shores to contain it. What makes this river so mysterious is that it feels both real and elusive. You can feel its current in your bones, yet when you ask what time truly is, the answers slip away. Some philosophers said the river exists on its own, flowing whether or not there are things within it. Others said the river is only the sequence of events, the way one thing follows another. If nothing happens, there is no river to speak of. Einstein taught us something stranger still. The river is tied to space. Together they form one fabric, bending and stretching with mass and motion. The river of time does not flow the same for everyone. For some, it runs slow. For others, it runs fast. Two people standing on different banks may not agree on how much of the river has passed. Picture two twins, one staying on Earth, the other traveling near the speed of light. When they meet again, one will have aged more than the other. Their rivers were not the same. Each flowed at its own pace, shaped by speed and gravity. Time is not one river, but many streams woven together, all connected yet all distinct. It flows without shores because there is no single edge that defines it. Each path is its own current, and together they form the vast ocean of becoming. The river also has a direction. We see eggs crack but not uncrack, waves crash but not rise again into their perfect crests. This direction is called the arrow of time. It points from order to disorder, from simplicity to complexity, from past to future. This arrow is what gives the river its sense of flow, what keeps it moving forward rather than circling back. Yet deep in the equations of physics, this arrow is not obvious. The rules that govern particles work the same whether time runs forward or backward. The river's direction seems to emerge only when countless ripples combine, like the flow of a stream that comes from the gathering of countless drops. Now close your eyes and imagine drifting in this river. You do not swim and you do not sink. You are simply carried. The river moves whether you wish it or not. Each thought, each breath, each heartbeat is a ripple in the flow. Sometimes the current feels swift, rushing you through days and weeks. Sometimes it feels slow, stretching a moment into what seems like forever, yet these are only your perceptions. The river itself moves steadily, neither hurrying nor pausing. Its flow is impartial. It does not favor joy or sorrow. It carries both equally, weaving them together into the fabric of your life. Galaxies too are in this river. They spin and drift, their stars burning and fading. The light that leaves them travels across billions of years, carried by the flow. When it reaches us, we are glimpsing a moment long past, a memory preserved in starlight. The river holds not only the present but also the past, stretched across distances. And in its current, the seeds of the future are already set in motion. Planets forming, stars collapsing, new galaxies rising, all are events already waiting to appear downstream. The river holds them, even if we cannot yet see them. It is easy to think of the river as something outside us, as if we are passengers floating along. But in truth, we are part of the river itself. Our bodies are shaped by it, our thoughts are carried by it, our memories are written in its water. To live is to flow. To remember is to look back upstream. To anticipate is to look ahead downstream. We are not separate from time. We are threads in its current, eddies in its surface, moments in its endless song. We are the river dreaming of itself. This river has no shores because it has no outside. You cannot leave it, just as you cannot step out of your own existence. You can only move within it, notice its ripples, marvel at its course. Perhaps one day, far in the future, when stars have burned out and galaxies have grown faint, the river will thin into silence. Or perhaps it will circle back, flowing again in another form. But for now it carries us, each second a drop, each lifetime a wave, each universe a great current within the endless flow. And as you rest with this thought, feel yourself drift. You are not lost, you are not adrift without direction. You are part of the river that flows without shores, carried gently forward with everything else. Its current is ancient, its song is soft, and its dream is unbroken. Wherever it leads, you are already within it. And in that truth, you can close your eyes, let go, and let the river carry you deeper into its endless night. Now let us wander further along this river, watching how it winds through every corner of the cosmos. You may imagine yourself drifting upon its current, weightless, moving past stars, past galaxies, past the very fabric of what is known. The river carries all things without pause. Every stone that falls into a valley, every ripple of laughter, every birth and every death, all are carried by the same unbroken flow. There are no shores to step upon, no resting places beyond its reach. You cannot leave the river, for to exist at all is to be part of its current. As we look closer, we see that the river has layers. On one level, it feels smooth, carrying years and centuries with patience. On another, it is turbulent, filled with countless tiny motions, the ticking. G of atoms, the pulses of neurons, the beating of wings, these are the smaller ripples that build the great tide. Each ripple adds to the whole, and the whole is what we call time. Just as a river is made of droplets, time is made of countless changes, woven together into a current that never ends. The river flows differently for each traveler. To a child, summers seem endless, days stretch wide and full. To an elder, those same days pass quickly, slipping like water between fingers. This difference is not in the river itself, but in the way we move within it. Speed and gravity also shape the current. A clock on a satellite high above Earth ticks faster than one resting on the ground, because the river runs a little differently where the pull of the planet is weaker. A traveler moving near the speed of light finds the river slowed, each second drawn long, while for those left behind, the current rushes faster. The river flows without shores because it is not uniform. It bends, stretches, and shifts, depending on where and how you drift within it. Now consider the arrow of the river, the way it always seems to move forward. Broken glass does not leap back together, ashes do not become wood, footsteps in sand are not erased in perfect reverse. This direction is written into the river's nature. It is tied to entropy, the gentle spread of disorder, the tendency for things to scatter and mix. A tidy room grows messy, smoke disperses into air, warmth flows from hot to cold. The river's current always leans this way, from order to disorder, from memory to forgetting. It is this leaning that gives us the sense of past and future, of what has been and what will come. And yet, in the deepest equations of physics, the river does not care for direction. The motions of particles can be written forward or backward without breaking their laws. It is only when we look at the great collection of all things that direction appears. The river flows forward not because its droplets must, but because there are so many more ways for the whole to scatter than to gather. It is the weight of numbers, the crowd of possibilities, that gives the river its one-way pull. In this way, time's current is born not from a single law, but from the gathering of countless ripples. Now drift further downstream, past the lives of stars. A star is like a glowing stone cast into the river. Its light spreads outward, carried along for millions or billions of years. When you see that light tonight, you're touching the river far upstream, reaching into the past. Galaxies, too, send their glow into the current, and it travels for so long that by the time it touches your eyes, those galaxies may have already changed. The river is a library of memories, its pages written in light. Each beam is a story carried forward, proof that nothing is truly lost once it has touched the current. But what of the future? If the river flows without shores, does it have an end? Some think it will flow until all stars fade, until even black holes dissolve into faint whispers of radiation. This is the dream of heat death, a river stretched so wide and thin that no new ripples rise. Others believe the river may one day curve back on itself, returning to its source in a great collapse. In that case, the flow would not be endless but circular, a cycle of beginning and ending, a tide that ebbs and returns. Still others imagine branching rivers, multiverses where countless currents split and weave, each one carrying its own version of events. Whatever the answer, the river does not stop flowing. Its path may change, but the current remains. There is another way to see the river, as something that exists all at once. Some thinkers imagine time not as flow but as a great block with past, present, and future all laid out together. In this view, the river does not move. Every droplet already has its place. You moving along are what gives the impression of flow. Your memory ties moments together like a string threading beads, and so the beads appear to roll forward. But the river itself may be timeless, a single shape stretching without beginning or end. If so, then the flow without shores is not a movement but a whole, infinite in both directions. Yet whether the river is flow or block, experience or structure, it shapes everything we know. Plants unfurl leaves in rhythm with its current, tides rise and fall with its pull, seasons turn like chapters in its book. Life itself is an answer to the river's call, born of change, growing through cycles, carried forward by the endless drift. Even death is part of its current, not an end but a transformation, as atoms scatter and join the river again in new forms. Nothing leaves the river. All things remain within its flow. Now close your eyes and feel yourself as part of this current. Your breath is a ripple. Your heart is a drumbeat in the tide. Your thoughts are like small leaves floating, caught and carried by the water. You can not step outside to watch, but you can feel it. You can notice the way memories gather behind you, the way hopes stretch ahead. The river of time flows without shores, but within it you are not lost. You are part of its story, its song, its unbroken movement. So when you next stand at dusk by an actual river, let the water remind you of the greater current. Watch how it moves, steady yet never the same. Watch how it carries reflections, debris, and light. And remember that you too are carried in such a way, not toward a final shore, but along a path that has no edge. The river flows and you flow with it. And in that truth you can rest, knowing you are always held by the same current that carries stars, galaxies, and dreams. At last, let us drift into the farthest stretches of the river, where imagination must guide us as much as science. The current carries us beyond the lives of stars, beyond the rise and fall of galaxies, beyond even the warmth that now fills the universe. Here the river is not loud or quick. It is slow, almost silent, a vast, steady flow that moves so gently it is difficult to know if it moves at all. And yet it does. Time's river never stops, though its pace may soften into near stillness. In this distant realm, we see most clearly that the river has no shores. There is no edge where it begins, no edge where it ends. It is the endless backdrop against which all stories are told. Imagine a single atom drifting in this emptiness. Its particles still hum with faint energy, their motion subtle but real. Even here, where almost nothing stirs, the river still carries change. The atom spins, vibrates, interacts with stray radiation. The current holds it just as it holds the greatest galaxies. Time is democratic in this way. It carries the grand and the small alike, the roar of a supernova and the quiet hum of a lone atom. Both are drops in the river, inseparable from the flow. Now let us picture ourselves as listeners of this river. When we watch the night sky, we see light that has traveled across billions of years. We are catching the river in midstream, reading pages carried toward us from long ago. But the river does not only bring the past, it also shapes the future. The expansion of the universe, driven by dark energy, is like a widening of the current. Galaxies drift apart as though the river itself is stretching. No matter how far we look, the flow continues. Even as we reach the limit of what we can see, we know the current carries on beyond sight, beyond reach, beyond imagination. Some philosophers wonder whether the flow is real at all, or whether it is only an illusion born from memory. They say the river may not move, it may simply exist, complete and whole. What feels like motion is our consciousness, our way of threading moments together. In this view, the river without shores is not a current but a vast ocean of being, timeless, with all events existing at once. To live within it is to experience the illusion of movement, to feel carried when in truth we are already everywhere in the flow. Whether this is true or not, it adds a layer of wonder to the river. For if all is already written, then our lives are still part of the infinite poem, even if we cannot read all the verses at once. Still, the feeling of the current is undeniable. We experience it daily in growth and decay, in dawns and dusks, in beginnings and endings. Our minds may argue about whether the river truly flows, but our hearts know it does. We feel its pull in every heartbeat, every breath. To us, time is no illusion. It is the water that carries us, whether we notice or not. And because we cannot step out, we must learn to float. To resist is to suffer. To accept is to rest in the current, to find peace in the knowledge that the river holds us all equally. This acceptance brings a kind of freedom. If the river has no shores, then there is no outside to fear. There is no escape to chase, no final edge to dread. There is only the journey, only the drifting. Each life is a brief swirl in the current, but the river itself endures. In this way, you are both fleeting and eternal, fleeting in your form, eternal in your belonging to the flow. You cannot be lost, for you are never outside the river. You are always within it, always carried, always part of its song. Let us also think of the river in terms of memory. Memory is the way we carry pieces of the past into the present, like pebbles gathered from upstream. They weigh in our minds, shaping how we move. Hope, too, is memory's partner, the way we lean forward toward what the river has not yet revealed. Memory and hope are like hands cupping water, never able to hold it all, always spilling some away. Yet still we cup, still we carry. This is the human way of flowing, our way of feeling the river more personally than stars or galaxies do. Time moves through all things, but through us it becomes story. And what of the end, if the river truly has no show? Raise, perhaps there is no final ending. Perhaps death is not a shore but a change in the current, a shift from one form to another. The atoms of your body scatter, carried into plants, soil, air, stars. Your thoughts and actions ripple outward, carried into the lives of others. You do not leave the river, you simply flow differently. In this way, the river without shores is also the river without endings. All is carried, all remains within. Close your eyes now and imagine floating once more. Around you is no bank, no edge, no dry ground to stand on. There is only the vast water of becoming, endless and calm. The stars are drops, the galaxies are waves, your own breath is a small ripple. The current is steady beneath it, all soft and eternal. You do not need to steer, for the river knows its way. You do not need to fear, for the river never abandons. You are safe in its flow. You are part of its dream. The river that flows without shores is time itself. It carries the memory of what has been, the unfolding of what is, and the promise of what will be. It flows through you, around you, beyond you. To live is to drift upon it. To wonder is to notice its current. To rest is to trust it. And when you let go, when you allow yourself to be carried, you find that the river is not something outside you at all. It is you. You are the flow, the ripple, the dream. You are the river that flows without shores. Before the first stars lit the sky, before the galaxies swirled into shape, before even the fabric of space stretched wide, there may have been something that felt like a moment. Not a moment in the way we measure now with seconds and hours, but something softer, stranger, an instant of potential, a shimmer of readiness. Some scientists whisper that time itself may not have been born with the universe, but that there could be moments older than the cosmos we see. These moments are not easy to picture. They are not marked by suns rising or rivers flowing. They are not recorded in fossils or in memory. They are shadows of possibility, quiet steps before creation's first breath. Imagine standing at the edge of a dark forest just before dawn. The trees are invisible, but the air feels full, expectant. You cannot yet see the path, but you sense it is there. The universe before its beginning may have been like that, a hush filled with readiness. No galaxies turned, no atoms clung together, yet something existed that could give rise to both. If there were such moments, they would be older than time as we know it. They would be the seeds from which time itself sprouted. Physicists call this mystery the Planck era, the smallest slice of time that makes sense in our equations. It is a fraction so tiny it escapes imagination, far shorter than the blink of an eye, far smaller than any rhythm we can grasp. In this faint interval, the laws we use to describe the universe blur and falter. Space and time are thought to mingle, inseparable, undefined. Beyond this veil, our theories cannot see. We can only guess. Some say there was no before. Others say that beyond the veil lies an ocean of moments, perhaps infinite, moments that existed before our universe began to swell. Consider a simple ripple in a pond. You see it spread circle after circle until it fades. If you trace it backward, you return to the stone that struck the surface. But ask what was before the stone struck, and you must leave the ripple behind. Our universe is like that ripple. Its expansion is the circles spreading out, its galaxies the waves forming patterns. We trace them back and we reach the Big Bang. But beyond that, beyond the strike, what do we find? A silence, a hidden hand. Or moments older than the universe itself. One idea is that our universe is not the first. Perhaps it rose from the collapse of another, born from the ashes of a cosmos before. In this vision, moments stretch backward without end, one universe giving birth to the next, like waves rising endlessly on an infinite sea. Each wave carries its own time, its own rhythm, but the sea itself is older than any wave. If so, then time may stretch back forever, long before our universe's first light. The moments we call older than the universe may be part of an eternal cycle, patient and unbroken. Others dream of multiverses, endless bubbles forming in a larger expanse. Each bubble blooms into its own universe with its own flow of time, its own fabric of space. Our bubble is only one among many. The moments older than our universe might belong to the larger sea in which these bubbles form. To us, they are invisible, unreachable, but they may still exist, like faint music behind a closed door. The question then is not whether time existed before, but which time, whose time, what kind of rhythm echoed in that hidden expanse. There is also the bold idea that time itself may be an illusion. Some physicists argue that at the deepest level, there is no before or after. There is only a T. Melis order a network of possibilities. In this view, moments older than the universe are not moments at all, but patterns waiting to be read, like letters written but never spoken. The Big Bang would then be not the first instant, but the first unfolding of a hidden pattern, the first note of a song that had always been written in silence. If this is true, then what we call moments older than the universe may be nothing more than the timeless roots of all that is. And yet, even if time itself began with the Big Bang, there is still the mystery of the quantum foam. In this picture, empty space is never truly empty. Even before the universe began, fluctuations may have stirred in a timeless sea, tiny sparks of possibility rising and falling. Out of this foam, a bubble could have formed, our universe expanding, cooling, giving rise to stars and planets. The foam itself may not know time, but it may hold the potential for countless beginnings. To imagine these sparks is to imagine moments without clocks, older than the cosmos, living only as whispers of possibility. Think of a story not yet told. The book is closed, the pages blank, and yet the story exists in potential, waiting for a hand to write it. Was there such a book before the universe began? If so, its pages would be the moments older than time, filled not with events but with readiness. The Big Bang would then be the first line, the first stroke of ink. Everything since galaxies, stars, rivers, you would be the unfolding chapters. The earlier pages remain unseen, perhaps unmarked, but they are part of the book all the same. What does it mean then for us to live in a universe that may not be the first or the only or the whole? It means that our story is both precious and vast. Precious because it is ours, the moment we are given within this river. Vast because it may be only one verse in a poem older than time itself. When you gaze at the stars, you are not only seeing the present universe. You are seeing a story that began long before you were born, and perhaps one that began long before the universe was born at all. You are part of a thread that stretches into mystery, into silence, into moments older than the cosmos. And so as you close your eyes tonight, let this thought rest within you. The universe is not the whole of all that may be. It is a chapter, a ripple, a verse. The moments older than the universe may never be known, yet they are the soil from which everything we love has grown. In that soil, time itself may have dreamed, and from that dream came the light, the stars, and you. You are not separate from those ancient moments. You are their echo, their continuation, their unfolding. And in that truth, you are older than you know. Now drift with me deeper into this mystery, where thought itself becomes a vessel on a vast and silent sea. We are searching for moments that might lie behind the curtain of creation, older than the first flash of light, older than space's first stretch. These are not moments we can measure with clocks. They are not written in the language of seconds and minutes. They are softer, more abstract, hints of order, patterns of possibility, the breath before the song. To imagine them is to sit in the stillness before dawn, when the sky is dark, but you feel the weight of light preparing to rise. One way to glimpse these hidden moments is through the idea of cycles. Imagine the universe not as a single river flowing one way but as a tide, rising and falling. There are theories that suggest the cosmos may collapse back upon itself after billions of years, shrinking into a dense seed that bursts again into expansion. If so, the Big Bang we know may not have been the first. It may have been only the latest in a series of bangs, each followed by a long breath of stars, galaxies, and life, then a collapse, then another beginning. In such a vision, moments older than our universe are simply earlier cycles of this cosmic tide, lost to us but still carried in the eternal rhythm of existence. Another way is through the lens of the multiverse. Imagine an infinite field where universes bloom like wildflowers. Each flower has its own soil, its own time, its own laws. Our universe is but one blossom, one bubble in a greater froth. The moments before our Big Bang may belong not to us but to that wider field. The field itself may be timeless, yet from it countless universes arise, each with its own ticking of clocks. The moments older than our universe would then be the quiet background hum of this field, the silent ground from which all blooms rise. We cannot see it, but it may be the truest root of all things. Physicists sometimes speak of quantum foam, a restless sea at the smallest scales. Even when nothing seems to exist, the foam trembles with potential. Tiny particles flicker in and out, sparks that appear for a breath then vanish again. Some imagine our universe began as one of these sparks, swelling suddenly, expanding, becoming the world we know. If so, then the foam itself is older than our universe. It is not time as we know it. It is not a steady flow, but a field of chances, restless and eternal. The spark that became our cosmos was one story. There may be countless others, rising and fading in the foam's ceaseless restlessness. Let us turn inward for a moment to the way the human mind feels time. When you dream at night, you can live entire days within minutes. When you meditate, a single hour may pass as if it were a gentle breath. These experiences remind us that time may not be absolute. It may bend and shift depending on how it is felt. If our minds can weave illusions of time, might not the cosmos itself weave illusions too? The moments older than the universe may not be measurable events, but states of timelessness. waiting to give rise to the flow we now inhabit. They may be like the pause between heartbeats, unnoticed yet essential, the quiet foundation for all rhythm. There are also bold voices in science that suggest time does not truly exist. At the most fundamental level, there may only be relationships between things, patterns, arrangements, symmetries. Time is not a separate thread, but the way these patterns shift when viewed from within. If this is true, then the moments older than the universe are not moments at all but timeless structures. The Big Bang would not have been a beginning in time, but a beginning of time, the first unfolding of relationships into what we call before and after. Everything beyond that point lies outside our language, in a realm where the river has not yet begun to flow. And yet we cannot help but wonder about what lies beyond. Our telescopes reach further each year, catching light that has traveled nearly 14 billion years. We see galaxies forming when the cosmos was young. We see the faint glow of the cosmic microwave background, a memory of when atoms first held light. But beyond that glow, our instruments fail. The earlier chapters remain hidden like pages torn from a book, and still we feel their presence. We feel that something must have been there, something older than our universe, shaping what would come. That feeling itself is a kind of echo, a shadow of those hidden moments pressing gently against the edge of our knowing. Perhaps the most poetic idea is that the moments older than the universe live within us already. The atoms of our bodies were forged in ancient stars, but the particles that make those atoms are older still. They were born in the first seconds of our cosmos, but perhaps their essence, their possibility, is eternal. Each electron, each proton is a reminder of that deep history. You are made of matter that carries within it the memory of beginnings, and perhaps even of the silence before beginnings. When you breathe, you are breathing the dust of stars, but also the whisper of whatever came before the stars themselves. What do these reflections tell us about life? They tell us that we are not bound only to the present moment, nor even to the history of our universe. We are tied to something greater, something older than time. Whether it is cycles of cosmos, fields of universes, or timeless patterns, we are participants in a story much larger than our own. To sense this is to feel humility, but also belonging. For if moments older than the universe exist, then we are not only children of the Big Bang. We are children of eternity itself, fragments of a story without beginning, without end. Now rest with this thought. Perhaps those moments are not gone. Perhaps they are not unreachable. Perhaps they live quietly within every breath, every stone, every star. The universe itself may be their echo, their unfolding, their dream spoken aloud. And you as part of the universe are also their echo. In your thoughts, in your wonder, in your longing to know, you carry the mark of something older than the cosmos. You are not separate from that mystery. You are one of its living whispers. Let us step gently now into the final part of this reflection, as though we were walking along the shoreline of something vast and unseen. The universe we know has lasted billions of years, and its story is written in the light of stars and the quiet hum of galaxies. Yet behind this story lies the question that continues to whisper. Could there have been moments before all of this? Moments older than the universe, older even than the fabric of time itself? To wonder about such moments is to look not only outward into the sky, but inward into the roots of being. If we imagine the Big Bang as a dawn, then perhaps what came before was a long night, silent and waiting. The night may not have had stars or hours, but it may have carried the possibility of both. Some call this possibility the quantum vacuum, a sea of fluctuations that never rests. Even before the first flash of expansion, this sea may have shimmered with chances, with sparks that could ye into universes. From one such spark came ours, but the sea may hold countless others still, each a moment outside of time, each a breath older than the cosmos we call home. Others think of it as a cycle without beginning. Imagine a wheel that turns forever. Each rotation is a universe, born, expanded, cooled, collapsed, then another turn and another. Our universe is one spoke in that wheel, one moment in an endless repetition. In such a vision, there is no first dawn, no ultimate origin. There are only cycles endlessly repeating. The moments older than our universe are simply earlier rotations, lost to us yet eternal in the turning of the wheel. To belong to such a wheel is to belong to eternity, to be part of something that neither begins nor ends. There is also the strange idea that time may not be fundamental at all. At the deepest level, reality might be timeless, like a great still canvas on which all possibilities are painted at once. What we call time could be the way we walk across this canvas, seeing one part after another. If so, then moments older than the universe are not moments in the flow we know, but regions of the canvas outside our field of view. They are not earlier. They are simply elsewhere, waiting, silent but real. To exist at all is to be part of this vast stillness, even if we cannot yet perceive it. In your own life, you have felt hints of timelessness. A single moment of awe can feel endless, as though time has stopped. A deep sleep can erase hours, leaving no trace of their passage. In such states, time loosens its grip, and you taste what it might be like to live outside its current. The moments older than the universe may be like this, not measurable, not countable, but existing as pure presence, as possibility waiting to unfold. They are the silence before the song, the blank page before the poem, the pause before the breath. And still, we must ask, why does it matter? Why should we seek to know if moments older than the universe exist? Perhaps it is because to ask is to stretch ourselves beyond the narrow span of our years. It is to touch something larger than galaxies, larger than time itself. Even if the answer remains hidden, the act of reaching connects us to the mystery. It reminds us that we are not only creatures of the present, but echoes of something far more ancient, woven into a story that began long before we can trace. Science offers us hints but not certainties. We can see the first light of the cosmos, the afterglow of its childhood. We can imagine the tremble of quantum fields, the swelling of space, the rise of order from chaos. But we cannot yet cross the veil of the beginning. Beyond it, our equations falter, our vision clouds. What remains is wonder, and perhaps that is enough. Wonder itself is a bridge to those older moments, a way of being present with what we cannot name. Think of the atoms in your body once more. The hydrogen in your blood is nearly as old as the universe, forged in its first seconds. The heavier elements came later in the hearts of stars, but the fabric that allowed these particles to exist, the canvas on which they were painted, may be older still. To be alive is to carry within you the memory of beginnings, and perhaps the memory of what came before beginnings. You are a vessel of the universe's youth, and perhaps of its prehistory too. In every breath, you are older than you know. At last, imagine closing your eyes and resting in this thought. The universe is vast, but it is not all. The story we know is long, but it is not the whole. There may be moments stretching behind it, silent, eternal, waiting like seeds in dark soil. Perhaps they will give rise to other universes, other rivers of time. Perhaps they simply exist, timeless and unchanging. Whatever they are part of the mystery that holds us, and you, by wondering about them, are already connected. You are a thread that ties the present to the past, the known to the unknown, the universe to whatever came before. So let yourself drift gently into this truth. You are not only part of the universe's story. You are part of the silence that came before, part of the moments older than the universe itself. They are in you as much as the stars are in you, as much as the river of time carries you. And as you rest, feel yourself held not only by the present, but by eternity, by the deep and quiet mystery that has always been and always will be. Imagine a single soft thread stretched through a dark room. You cannot see it at first, but when a breeze passes, you notice the thread tremble. The tremble is small, almost nothing, yet it tells you two things at once. There is a thread and there is a breeze. Time can feel like that thread. It is quiet, almost hidden, until something touches it. A leaf falls, a star brightens, a thought appears in your mind. Each touch sets the thread humming. The hum is gentle, but it carries far. It runs through you, through me, T. Rough the sky through every stone. You can almost feel it when you sit very still and listen for it, the faintest vibration that means now. Let us hold this picture and walk into a morning field. Dew rests on grass like tiny stars. A spider web stretches between two stems, and the rising sun turns every strand to silver. In this simple web you can see time more clearly. A drop of water swells and falls. A bee lands, the web trembles, then settles again. Nothing in the web is loud, yet everything speaks of change. The web is the world, the trembling is time. If no drop formed and no bee landed, the threads would still exist, silent and ready. But when they are touched, the pattern begins. It is the same with time. It is always there as readiness, and it shows itself when change leans upon it. We often think of time as a long road, but roads have edges and time does not. We try to mark it with stones, seconds, minutes, hours, like mileposts along a highway. These stones help us plan and remember. They help us meet at a certain moment, cook a meal just right, plant seeds in the season that fits. Yet the stones are not the road. The marks on a ruler are not the length itself. Our clocks are fine tools, but they do not make time. They catch a rhythm, then share it with us, the way a drum shares the beat of a song that was already moving in the heart. Your body is full of such drums. In your brain, tiny waves rise and fall. In your heart, muscle fibers squeeze and relax. In your belly, clocks made of genes turn on and off like daylights along a shore. These cycles line up with the world outside, the light of morning, the cool of night, the turn of seasons. Plants do this too. A seed open to air does not grow at random. It listens. It counts hours in the way its cells pulse. It counts days by the slow wheel of sunlight and dark. A flower knows when to open not because it owns a wristwatch, but because it feels the thread that runs through wind and warmth, through water and light, and through itself. Time is this gentle agreement between inside and outside, the way the world and the body nod to each other in a shared rhythm. Think of gravity now, the soft pull that gathers oceans and holds your feet to the ground. We learned that time listens to gravity. Where the pull is strong, time's thread stretches longer between beats. A clock deep in a valley runs a little slower than a clock on a high hill. The difference is tiny for us, yet it matters for machines in the sky that help us find our way home. Their clocks must be taught to hear the threads stretch and slack, or our maps will be wrong. This is a quiet miracle of the world. Every part of it, from stone to star, from valley to satellite, shares the same thread. It is one fabric. When one place tugs, the thread's hum changes everywhere, even if only a little. Now look at speed. When a thing moves very fast, the time it keeps is not the same as yours. Twins can be born the same day, but if one travels near the speed of light and comes back, that traveler will be younger than the twin who stayed. The thread did not break. It simply hummed at a different pitch along the traveler's path. What does this teach us? It says time is not just a number we place on a shelf. It is part of how the world and motion and light all share one cloth. Space and time are threads woven together. Pull one and the other shifts too. We can feel this in a simple way. Close your eyes and count your breaths. 10 slow breaths may feel long on a quiet evening and short on a busy day. The number has not changed, but the feeling has, because the rest of your web is trembling with other touches, voices, tasks, hopes, fears. Time's thread runs through all of these, and your sense of its hum changes when the web is full or empty, bright or dim. This is not a mistake in you. It is how living things meet the world, by listening and adjusting, by letting the inner rhythm match the outer song as best it can. There is another deep part of the web we cannot see, the tiny bonds between particles called entanglement. When two small things are born together in a certain way, they keep a secret link. Change one and the other echoes, even if far apart. This link does not send messages faster than light, but it tells us something soft and strange. The world is more connected than it looks. Some scientists wonder if time itself rises from these links, the way a melody rises from many notes played together. If so, then time's thread is not a single string stretched in an empty room. It is the shared music of countless small ties. The more ties, the clearer the hum. Where ties are thin, the hum is faint, and time feels less like a strong river and more like a quiet pool. Now let us walk by the sea. Waves roll in lines, then tilt and break, then slide up the sand and fade. If you watch long enough, you start to see patterns inside patterns. A small wave rides on a larger one. A set rises stronger, th. And gentler, then stronger again. Time is in the sets and in the single crests. It is in the moon's pull that helps shape the tide and in the wind that gives the water its skin. You do not need numbers to know this. Your eyes and ears feel the order. Your feet learn the rhythm where the water meets the land. This is how first people learned time, not by reading marks, but by feeling change and naming it. We can listen for time in fire as well. A A candle has a pace. It eats wax at a certain rate. It forms a pool, then shrinks it, then wavers when air moves. A fire in a forest has a pace too, but larger, tied to dryness, to wind to the shapes of trees. A star's fire, deep in its heart, has a pace so slow we need many lives to see it with our own eyes. Yet the pace is there, and from it we can tell the star's age, its coming change, its future quiet. The thread that binds hours also binds ages. It binds your evening to a mountain's slow rise and fall. It binds the life of a moth to the long cooling of a planet's crust. It might seem strange that something so soft rules so much. If time is a thread, why can it not be pulled from the cloth and held alone? The tender answer is that a thread only shows itself when the cloth holds shape. Without the cloth, a thread is only a line on a table, easy to lose, hard to see. The universe is the cloth. Time is the line that makes the weaving hold together. This is why, when we ask whether time exists without the universe, our words stumble. It is like asking whether the path exists without footsteps. You can draw a path on a map, but it becomes real when feet press it, when dust rises, when grass bends and remembers. Let us turn to memory. Memory is the way time leaves a mark in us, the way the thread rubs against the skin and makes a small warmth. Your mind keeps the smell of rain, the weight of a friend's hand, the taste of a fruit you loved as a child. These keepings are not the past itself, they are patterns your brain holds now. They are present shapes that stand for things that were. In this sense, memory is the world's gift to itself, a way for the web to remember how it has already trembled. Stones keep memory too. A cliff shows layers of sand turned to rock. Ice holds bubbles of old air. Light that left a star long ago arrives tonight and touches your eyes. Everywhere the thread has run, some echo of its hum remains. What about the future? We cannot remember what has not yet happened, but we can imagine it. Seeds imagine in their way. They carry a plan folded into their tiny bodies. When warmth and water kiss them, they open along lines written before they ever touched soil. Animals imagine too, with minds that can cast ahead. A bird learns the route to food. A beaver learns the shape of water and the way it will rise when a dam is built. You imagine when you pack a bag, when you step aside as a ball rolls, when you speak to a child and leave a space for their answer. These are quiet contracts with what might be. The thread of time lets us make such contracts because the world is not chaos. It has habits. It has paths it tends to walk. In those habits, we make our lives. There is a peace in seeing time like this, not as a hard ruler, but as a soft guide. The guide is firm enough to hold planets in their dance, gentle enough to let clouds drift as they please. It lets a song last as long as a breath and a mountain last as long as a continent forms. It gives room for error and repair. If you break a cup, it will not leap whole again, but hands can shape new clay. If a field lies empty, seeds and rain can make it green once more. The arrow that points from ordered to messy also points toward new forms of order built from the pieces. The thread does not only mark loss, it marks growth too. Look up at night and see how this growth writes itself across the dark. A small light near the horizon is a planet, bright because it reflects a star. It moves in a loop that returns each year, but never in exactly the same way. Seasons shift by a few breaths, tides by a few grains of sand. The web is flexible. It bends without breaking. Time's thread holds these bends and keeps them from becoming tears. And if a tear comes, as when a star explodes or a fault in the earth slips, the cloth mends itself in new patterns. A nebula that will become new stars, a valley that will one day hold a river and a town. Sometimes we worry that time is our enemy because it brings endings. Hair grays, faces line, voices thin. But the same thread that carries us toward dusk carried us through dawn and noon. It carried us into love we could not have known without the waiting. It carried us into skills that needed years. It carried us into friendships strong because they were held through many seasons. Time is the maker of depth. A new pot has gloss. A used pot has warmth in its color and a handle shined by hands. The world loves such warmth. It is the glow of hours held and used well. Let us return to the quiet room where we began, the room with the almost silent thread through it. Take a long breath. Your chest rises, then falls. Between breaths, there is a pause. In the pause, the thread does not stop. It hums still, faint but sure. The pause is not empty, it is a resting place for the next note. Music is made from notes and from pauses both. Life is made from motion and from rest. The thread that binds ours does not fear stillness. It holds it, and from it the next motion grows clean. We have walked the field and the beach. We have held a cup of flame and watched a star. We have listened to birds and to black space and to the faint light that started long ago. All along, we have been following the same soft line, the one that keeps the world together as it changes. If you want to feel this thread more often, you do not need special tools. You can look out a window for 5 quiet minutes and name what you see shift. A shadow climbing a wall, a bright patch sliding across a table, a small breeze turning a leaf. Or you can close your eyes and name what you feel shift inside. A thought softening, a worry loosening, a breath deepening. These are ways of placing your fingers lightly on the thread. At the end of the day, the thread runs through sleep too. While you rest, the world keeps its gentle score. Stars move, oceans lift. In your body, small workers tidy and repair. The brain sorts files and lets go. Morning comes not as a shock, but as a continuation. The hum you heard at night is the same hum you wake into. You are caught kindly in a net that does not drop you. It holds you from your first cry to your last sigh, and after you stop, the atoms that were you keep humming with the same music in new forms: soil, air, seed, skin, song. So the thread that binds all ours is not something to chase or control. It is something to notice and trust. It will not rush for you, and it will not wait. It will not skip a beat for love, and it will not harden for grief. It is fair in the way light is fair. It falls on everything. The grace is that within its steady hum you can choose. You can choose patience over hurry, kindness over harshness, attention over noise. These choices put good weight on the thread. They make the hum around you gentle and strong. They make the web where you live a little more whole. Hold one last image. A loom stands in a quiet room. Threads cross in 2 directions. The vertical is time, the horizontal is all else: space, matter, breath, hope. With each pass of the shuttle, a pattern appears. You cannot see the picture at once, you must keep weaving. Day by day, line by line, the cloth grows. Sometimes a color enters you did not expect. Sometimes a knot forms and must be worked loose. Still, the loom keeps its rhythm. The cloth under your hands warms as it grows. One day you step back and see not just threads, but something that holds and can keep a person warm. That is what time, joined with the rest of the world, does for you. It turns single moments into a life that can shelter others. It turns a thin hum into a song that, when sung softly, helps someone fall asleep with peace in their chest. Listen now for that hum. It is here even as you reach the end of this page. The thread goes on. It will carry you into the next room, the next task, the next night, the next dawn. You do not need to hold it tight. It is already holding you. Now drift further into this weaving, as though you were lying on the fabric itself, feeling its texture beneath your skin. The thread of time does not fray, nor does it tangle. It stretches smoothly through every moment, binding what has been to what is and what is to what will be. You may think of it as a current in deep water. On the surface, waves are loud with storms, but far below, the current is calm, steady, unchanged. This is the deeper hum of ours, the rhythm that never breaks, no matter how the world above it shifts. Let us walk to the mountains. Their ridges rise like old songs, carved by rivers, smoothed by wind, lifted by forces deep in earth. Each stone you step upon is a verse in the poem of time. A pebble is not merely a pebble. It is the memory of ancient fire, cooled into rock, broken by frost, carried by water, rounded by countless journeys. When you pick it up, you are holding centuries. The thread has passed through it, hour by hour, and now it rests in your hand as though waiting to remind you that even the smallest thing carries vastness. The mountains are not only memory, they are also clocks. Their glaciers advance and retreat. Their trees thicken and thin. Their snows come and go. Each cycle is a hand upon a dial, a marking of the thread's steady work. To live near mountains is to see how long hours can be. They remind us that time is not always counted in heartbeats or steps. Sometimes it is counted in the folding of stone, in the lifting of valleys, in the widening of skies. The thread stretches through scales. Too vast to measure with the clocks we build, yet still it holds. Let us turn now to the sea, whose waves and tides are another song of the thread. The pull of the moon bends oceans, lifting them in wide breaths. Twice each day the waters rise and fall, answering to the tug of another world. This rhythm has lasted for as long as there have been oceans. Creatures learned to live by it. Some buried themselves when waters fell, emerging only when the tide returned. Others rode the waves to feed, mate, or drift into new seas. The thread that binds ours is written in these tides, binding not only water but life itself to the rhythm of celestial pools. Even the quiet pools left behind on the shore are small clocks, measuring the thread in the slow evaporation of their water, in the delicate patterns of salt left shining in the sun. Now think of the sky at night. Stars appear to circle overhead, though it is the earth itself that turns. For thousands of years, people marked these turns. They learned the seasons from the rising of certain constellations. They planted when the Pleiades rose before dawn. They harvested when Orion appeared in the evening. In this way, the sky itself became a loom upon which hours were woven into years. The thread stretched not only through light and dark, but through seed and fruit, hunger and harvest, silence and song. The stars did not move for us, yet we built our lives upon their motions, trusting their steady patterns as we trust breath itself. Consider the deep sea again, where creatures glow with light of their own making. Their pulses are faint lanterns in the dark. Many glow in rhythms, flashing in patterns that match cycles of tide, moon, or season. Even in the most hidden depths, far from the sun, life is tied to the thread. It listens for cues, it answers in kind. It is as though the whole universe hums the same tune, and every being finds its part, whether in a star's fire, a tide's pull, or a lantern fish's glow. The thread is the score, the harmony all life shares. The thread also binds memory across generations. Trees carry it in their rings, each year marked by growth, each ring a whisper of rain or drought. Ice cores from ancient glaciers hold bubbles of air, memory of climates long past. Coral reefs build layer upon layer, each recording a season of warmth or cold. When we study these patterns, we hear the thread singing not only through our own lifetimes, but through the lives of countless worlds before us. These records tell us that the thread is steady, but also flexible, allowing change, holding memory, shaping futures. And what of us small beings who walk briefly upon this vast weaving? We too carry the thread within. Our bodies are cycles within cycles. Our cells follow circadian rhythms. Our hearts beat in pulses. Our lives pass through stages of childhood, adulthood, old age. We are not apart from the fabric. We are its patterns, its knots, its bright dyes. Our choices add colors to the cloth. Our actions pull gently on the weave. Even our thoughts tremble the thread, sending ripples into the lives of others. To live is to take part in the weaving, whether we notice or not. There is beauty in this belonging. You may feel that you are a single strand, fragile, small, but every strand adds to the cloth. A tapestry without one color is not the same. A river without one drop does not flow as it should. The thread that binds all hours needs every moment, every life, every story. You are one of those stories. Without you, the pattern would be less. With you, it is whole. This is the kindness of time. It holds us all equally, letting each moment shine in its place, letting each life add its hue. Now imagine the end of a day. The sun slides down, the sky blushes, the air cools. You walk home, and as you do, the thread binds your steps. It binds your shadow lengthening on the road. It binds the voices you hear through open windows, the meals being prepared, the quiet laughter, the soft weariness. All of it is part of the weaving, and you are in it. The hours you live today will be tied into memory tomorrow. The choices you made ripple outward, unseen perhaps, but real. You are not outside the thread. You are a note within its song. So rest in this knowledge. The thread that binds all hours is not cruel, though it carries both joy and sorrow. It is not hurried, though we often rush upon it. It is not fragile, though it hums with delicacy. It is vast, patient, and kind. To know this is to breathe more gently, to walk more slowly, to look with softer eyes at the world. You are carried in its fabric, and the fabric itself is steady, steady, steady. The hum continues, the weaving grows. And you, small as you feel, are part of the vastness, part of the song that will never stop. Now let us follow the thread into its quietest places, where the weave is so fine it almost disappears. Here the hours do not shout, they whisper. They whisper through the slow cooling of stones, through the faint shifting of stars, through the deep silence between heartbeats. These whispers tell us that time is not only loud events but also the soft background against which all things happen. To notice it is to sit still long enough to feel how even stillness changes, how shadows drift almost invisibly, how air cools without a sound, how the body shifts without being asked. The thread binds these moments too, as much as it binds the grand motions of galaxies. Consider the life of light. A photon may be born in the heart of a star. It bounces around inside for thousands of years, weaving through atoms before it finally escapes into the open sky. Once free, it crosses the void at a steady pace until one day it touches your eye. You see a star twinkle, but that twinkle is not the present. It is a memory carried on the thread of hours. That single photon may have left its home before the first humans walked the earth. Time has held it, steady and faithful, binding its journey without letting it slip. The thread is the reason we can see the past written in light. Now think of sound. A bird sings in the morning and the song vibrates the air. The vibration ripples outward until it fades. For a while it exists as pure pattern in the thread, carried from the bird's throat to the edges of hearing. Then it is gone, but in your memory the song remains. It can rise again when you recall it years later in a different place. The bird's song is no longer in the air, but the thread of time has bound it into your mind. This binding is what makes memory possible. Without it, every sound, every sight, every word would vanish without trace. The hum of time turns fleeting events into lasting imprints. The same is true for love. A kind gesture offered long ago may still live in someone's heart, shaping who they are today. The act itself is gone, but the thread has held it, woven it into the larger fabric of life. A smile at the right moment can ripple outward for decades, passed from one person to another, binding strangers into a quiet chain of care. This is another way the thread binds ours, not only through physical change but through meaning. The weave is more than atoms. It is also the invisible ties of kindness, memory, and hope. Look again at the arrow of time. We cannot move backward, we cannot undo what has been. A vase once broken cannot leap whole again, yet the thread does not only carry endings, it carries beginnings too. From shards, new art can be made. From endings, new paths can open. The arrow does not point only to decay, it also points to creation. Every forest grew from soil left by earlier life. Every new star shines from the ashes of older ones. The thread binds sorrow and joy together, making each possible because of the other. Without endings, there would be no space for beginnings. Without loss, there would be no room for growth. This is why time is often described as a healer, not because it erases pain, but because it binds pain into a larger cloth where it no longer stands alone. Over days and years, the sharpness softens. The thread holds the memory, but the weave thickens around it, adding colors and textures that change the meaning. What once hurt may become a story of strength. What once broke may become a lesson that helps another. This is how the thread carries us, not away from sorrow, but forward into contexts where sorrow is no longer the whole. Let us return to the earth itself. Its crust shifts slowly, continents drifting across oceans at the pace of fingernails growing. To us, such slowness feels like stillness. Yet across millions of years, mountains rise, seas open, climates transform. Time is the hidden sculptor, always binding each layer to the next. Fossils buried in stone are its bookmarks. They tell us that even as species vanish, others emerge. Life itself is a dialogue with the thread, learning to adapt to change, to begin anew after each ending. The weave grows thicker with each age, and we are part of its newest pattern. Now close your eyes and listen to your own breath. Each inhale and exhale is a small cycle, a personal tide. You live inside many cycles, the turning of days, the waxing of moons, the turning of seasons, the length of a lifetime. Each is a thread within the greater thread, a spiral woven into the cloth. To live is to be carried by all of them at once, to be a knot where they intersect. This knot is your presence, your now. And when you're gone, the cycles continue, weaving new knots, binding new hours. You are not separate, you are one note in the ongoing song. Imagine, finally, the end of all things. Stars fade, galaxies drift apart, black holes cool into silence. Even then, the thread continues. It may hum only faintly, stretched so thin it is almost gone, or it may circle back, folding the cloth into itself, ready to begin anew. We cannot know. What we can know is this: as long as the thread binds ours, there will be Tori, there will be rhythm, there will be becoming. The universe may change form, but the thread will hold its song. So let us rest with this image, a vast tapestry, endless and patient, shimmering with light and shadow. Across it runs a single thread, steady and sure. It has bound every moment you have lived, every memory you carry, every hope you hold. It has bound the stars and the oceans, the mountains and the leaves, the songs and the silences. It has bound joy and sorrow, birth and death, loss and renewal. And it will bind every hour yet to come. You are within it, you are part of its weave. And when you finally let go, you will not fall away. You will simply become another pattern, another color, another hum in the fabric that never ends. The thread that binds all hours is not a chain but a cradle. It carries without judgment. It holds without breaking. It sings without words. And in its song there is space for you now and always. Between one heartbeat and the next, there is a pause. It is so brief that you rarely notice it. Yet without it, the rhythm would not be a rhythm at all. Life itself depends not only on the beating, but on the silence between beats. In this way, time reveals itself not only in motion, but in stillness. The silence is not empty. It is a waiting, a balance, a breath the body takes before beginning again. Perhaps the universe is like this too. Perhaps there are silences between its heartbeats, pauses between its great motions, gaps where time is quiet but still alive. Imagine standing in a forest just after rain. Drops cling to leaves, sliding slowly downward. The air is filled with fragrance, a cool sweetness that feels as though the earth itself is exhaling. Listen closely. You hear birds begin to stir, water drip from branches, wind shift faintly through trees. But in between each sound there is a quiet. It is not a dead quiet. It is a living silence, the kind that holds more than it hides. Time is present in this silence, stretching between notes like a string between pearls. Without the silence, the music of the forest would be noise. With it, the music becomes whole. Science also tells us that silence has meaning. In the firing of neurons, there are bursts of electrical sparks followed by pauses. These pauses are not wasted. They give space for signals to be read, processed, and prepared for the next. In the beating of the heart, the resting phase is as essential as the contracting one. In breathing, exhale leads to inhale, but only if there is a brief moment of rest in between. The silence between heartbeats is time's gift to the body, a reminder that not all of life is motion. Some of it is waiting, and in waiting there is strength. Now picture the stars. Many of them pulse in brightness, expanding and contracting like cosmic lungs. These pulsations are not constant light, but waves of shining and resting. The silence between pulses is as important as the glow itself. It tells astronomers about the inner life of stars, their size, their temperature, their secrets. In this way, even stars live by silences. Their light sings only because there are pauses in the song. Time is measured not just by what shines, but by what holds back, waiting to shine again. The same truth lives in sound. A drumbeat is powerful not only because of the strike, but because of the space after it, when the air vibrates freely before the next strike falls. A melody carries you forward not only with its notes, but with the rests between them. Music without silence would be unbearable, a flood of noise. Music with silence is alive, flowing, meaningful. So too with time. The silences between moments are what let each moment matter. The pause is not absence. It is presence in another form. Let us travel now to the scale of atoms. Particles flicker in and out of existence, appearing, vanishing, reappearing again. Between their appearances lies a kind of silence, a gap in being. This is not a silence we can hear, but it is real, written into the mathematics of quantum fields. Even the smallest parts of the world seem to dance to a rhythm of presence and absence, beat and rest, heartbeat and pause. Perhaps the entire universe is built on this rhythm, a woven cloth of sound and silence, light and dark, being and waiting to be. In the human heart, silence has another gift. It creates anticipation. Between one beat and the next, the body is poised. Blood waits for the next push, lungs prepare for the next breath, muscles hold for the next motion. Anticipation is its own kind of time. It stretches moments, making them longer, deeper, more alive. A pause in a story makes the next word richer. A pause in a song makes the next note sweeter. A pause in your life, a quiet evening, a slow walk, a deep breath, makes what comes after more vivid. This is the blessing of the silence between heartbeats. It shows us that time's thread is not only motion but also rest, and that both are needed for wholeness.
We crois.
And see this in history too. Civilizations rise and fall. Between them are quiet ages where change is slower, less dramatic. These silences are not wasted. They are times of recovery, of rebuilding, of storing seeds for future bloom. Just as fields need to lie fallow to regain their richness, so too does humanity need pauses. The silence between ages allows new stories to grow. Without such silences, there would be no renewal. The river of time does not rush endlessly forward. It pauses, eddies, curls back, then flows again, carrying new patterns. Perhaps the deepest silence of all is the one that will come at the end of the universe. Stars will fade, galaxies will dim, and black holes will cool. A long quiet will stretch across everything, a silence between the universe's heartbeats. Will this silence be the end, or will it be like the pause between breaths, a waiting before another exhale, another dawn? We cannot know. But we can imagine that time itself may rest, only to dream again, beginning another song, another heartbeat. Even endings may be beginnings, if silence is not emptiness but readiness. Now return to yourself, place your hand on your chest. Feel the beat. Between each beat is a pause, almost too brief to notice. Yet it is there, steady, constant, faithful. That pause is part of you. It is time's softest gift, reminding you that life is not all rushing forward. It is also holding, waiting, breathing. You are carried not only by action but by rest, not only by sound but by silence. And in the silence between your heartbeats, you are most closely bound to the universe itself, which also beats, also rests, also dreams in quiet between its songs. So let us honor this silence. Let us not rush past it or fear it. Let us see it as the gentle half of time, as necessary as the beat itself. For in the silence between heartbeats lies the proof that stillness is alive, that waiting is meaningful, that pauses are part of the rhythm that binds us all. And when you next notice that quiet gap in your chest, know that you are hearing the same truth that stars, atoms, rivers, and galaxies know. That life is made not only of motion but of silence, and that time itself is both the beat and the pause. Now let us linger longer in the pause itself, as if we were stepping into that tiny gap where nothing seems to move. The silence between heartbeats is not an emptiness but a chamber. It is a room so small that it cannot be measured, yet it is spacious enough to hold rest, memory, and the promise of what will come. When you listen carefully, you realize this silence is a teacher. It whispers that not everything must be constant motion. It tells us that waiting is not wasted, that stillness has its own kind of power. In the body, the pause keeps rhythm alive. In life, the pause keeps meaning alive. Think of music once more. A lullaby sung to a child flows gently because of its pauses. Each rest allows the listener to breathe, to expect, to feel the shape of what comes next. Without rests, the notes would crash into each other, losing form. Silence is the frame that holds sound. In the same way, the silence between heartbeats frames the beat, making it clear, strong, steady. The pause is as important as the motion. To honor it is to honor balance itself. The same truth can be seen in breath. When you inhale, the lungs fill with air. When you exhale, they release it. But between the two, there is a brief stillness. This stillness is not forced. It comes naturally, a tiny island of calm in the ocean of breath. In meditation, people learn to rest in this stillness, to notice its quiet peace. In that moment, the body is not straining, not rushing. It is simply being. The silence between breaths is like the silence between heartbeats, a reminder that life is not a race but a rhythm, with pauses as vital as motion. Look to the natural world and you will find similar pauses everywhere. A season of growth is followed by a season of rest. Fields lie fallow so they may grow richer later. Forests burn, then wait, then bloom again. Animals hibernate, withdrawing into silence so that they may wake renewed. Even rivers rest when winter freezes them, waiting until spring frees their flow. The silence between heartbeats is echoed in every part of nature. It is the law of cycles, the wisdom of pauses, the truth that rest is as sacred as action. Science speaks of silence too. In the brain, neurons do not fire endlessly. They pause between sparks, allowing patterns to emerge. If all neurons fired at once, the mind would drown in noise. It is the silences that make thought possible just as much as the signals. In the universe, the expansion after the Big Bang was followed by cooling, a kind of cosmic pause that allowed atoms to form, stars to ignite, galaxies to gather. Without that pause, matter itself would not exist. Silence is not the absence of time. It is time's way of creating space for new forms to arise. Now think of your own life. How often do you fill every moment with noise, with tasks, with movement? Yet it is in the pauses that meaning collects. A conversation grows deeper not only from words but from the silences between them. A gaze shared without speaking often says more than speech could. A pause after laughter lets the joy sink in. A pause after grief lets healing begin. The silence between heartbeats is mirrored in these pauses. They remind us that emptiness is not a void. It is a vessel, and what it holds may be as precious as the sounds around it. This silence also gives us perspective. Imagine reading a book without spaces between words. It would be unreadable. The spaces give the words shape. Time does this too. It offers gaps that let us reflect, digest, and see more clearly. A day of rest between days of work is such a gap. A night's sleep between days of labor is such a gap. The silence between heartbeats is the body's way of writing spaces into the text of life. Without them, we would drown in an endless sentence. With them, life becomes poetry, balanced between sound and silence. There are cosmic silences too, silences so vast they humble the imagination. The space between galaxies is one such silence. Light may travel for millions of years before reaching another star. For all that distance, there is no voice, no song, no flame, only quiet. Yet this silence is not barren. It holds the path for light to travel. It allows galaxies to drift, stars to shine, planets to dance. The silence between galaxies is the canvas upon which creation paints. Just so, the silence between heartbeats is the canvas upon which life paints its rhythm. Some physicists wonder if time itself has pauses. They speak of quantum leaps where particles shift from one state to another without passing through the in-between. In such moments, the universe itself seems to skip a beat. If this is true, then silence is woven into the fabric of reality, not as absence but as transition. The silence between heartbeats may be our personal echo of this greater truth, that the universe itself hums with gaps, with rests, with moments where stillness carries the weight of change. The silence also carries mystery. In the pause, you cannot know what comes next. It may be another beat, another breath, another day, or it may be the end. This uncertainty is what makes silence sacred. It holds both continuity and finality, life and death, promise and release. To live is to move from silence to silence, never knowing which pause will be the last. This knowledge should not bring fear, it should bring reverence. Each silence is an opening, a gift, a chance to notice that being itself is fragile and profound. When we listen deeply, we find that silence is not empty at all. It hums with hidden voices, the pulse of blood, the shifting of air, the settling of earth. The silence between heartbeats hums too, filled with potential. It is the seed from which the next beat grows. It is the soil that nourishes the next moment. In that silence, everything waits, ready to become. It is the quiet heart of time itself. So rest now in this pause. Feel the silence not as absence but as fullness. Let it remind you that life is more than doing. It is also being, it is also waiting. It is also trusting that the next beat will come when it is meant to. And if one day it does not, then the silence will not be cruel. It will be the final embrace of the same rhythm that carried you all your life, the rhythm of motion and rest, sound and quiet, beat and pause, always together, always one. At last, let us drift deeper into the pause itself, as though stepping across a threshold into a room made only of quiet. The silence between heartbeats is often overlooked, but it is the doorway through which we glimpse the hidden architecture of time. In its hush, the body balances life and death, motion and rest. It is a reminder that all rhythms require both presence and absence. Without pause, there is no beat. Without stillness, there is no motion. The silence is not less than the beat. It is its equal, its partner, its shadow that gives shape to light. Imagine watching waves on the sea. A crest rises, sparkles in the sun, then falls into a trough. The trough is the silence of the wave, the place where water gathers strength for the next rise. Without troughs, the sea would not move. Without silence, there would be no rhythm. The same is true of your heart, your breath, your thoughts. Each pause is a trough in the great ocean of being. It is the gathering place, the moment where energy folds back into itself before it rises again. Think of fire now. A flame flickers bright, then leans low, then flickers bright again. Between each flare there is a pause, a moment where the fire seems almost to vanish. Yet in that moment, fuel is gathered, oxygen drawn in, heat stored. The flame does not stop living. It rests, prepares, waits. The silence between heartbeats is like this pause in flame. It is not death, but preparation. It is not nothingness, but fullness waiting to burst again into light. The same truth appears in the stars. Pulsars, collapsed stars that spin with incredible speed, beam light across space in flashes. Between flashes there is darkness, yet it is the darkness that makes the flash clear. Without the pause, the signal would blur. Astronomers measure these pauses with precision, using them as some of the most accurate clocks in the universe. The silence is not wasted. It is the measure itself, the heartbeat of stars. When you feel the quiet between your own heartbeats, you are sharing in the same cosmic rhythm, connected to pulses that cross the galaxy. In the human story, silence has always been sacred. In temples, in forests, in deserts, seekers have sat in quiet to hear what cannot be heard through noise. The silence between heartbeats is a temple within the body, a place where the ordinary world softens. To rest in it is to touch the same stillness that mountains know, that deep caves know, that the space between stars holds. It is not a silence of emptiness, but of presence, alive with everything that has not yet spoken. This is why silence so often brings peace. It reminds us that being does not depend only on words or actions. Being is enough. The silence between heartbeats is also the boundary of mystery. No one can promise that the next beat will come. Most often it does, faithful as sunrise, but one day it will not. The final silence will arrive, and in it the thread of your hours will end. Yet this too is part of the rhythm. Death is not an interruption of the song, but its final rest, the last pause that completes the music. The silence then is not cruel. It is simply the end of the measure, the moment when the loom has finished its weaving. All you have been remains in the fabric, in the lives you touched, in the atoms that will continue as part of earth and sky. Even in that last silence, the universe continues. Your atoms scatter into soil, into air, into stars. Your warmth feeds the thread of life around you. The silence between your heartbeats becomes the pause between generations, the space into which new voices will rise. In this way, silence is not an end but a handing over, a gift of space for what comes next. Just as fields lie fallow to make way for new growth, so too do lives rest so that others may bloom. The silence between heartbeats becomes the silence between lives, binding each to the next in a chain that stretches beyond memory. Consider once more how silence makes meaning. A poem is not only words but spaces. A painting is not only color but emptiness. A constellation is not only stars but the darkness that connects them. The universe speaks through silence as much as through sound. The pause between heartbeats is your personal share of this cosmic language. In it, you touch the universal truth. That stillness is not absence but foundation, not void but vessel. Every pause is an opening into something greater than itself. So let us end here in quiet reflection. Place your hand upon your chest. Feel the beat, then the pause, then the beat again. With each pause, know that you are touching the same rhythm that shapes stars, waves, flames, and galaxies. You are hearing the hum of time in its gentlest voice. You are being reminded that life is not only about movement, but also about waiting, not only about sound, but also about silence. And when your final silence comes, it will not be foreign. It will be the same silence that has carried you all along, the same pause that gave rhythm to your days, the same quiet that belongs to every heartbeat of the cosmos. The silence between heartbeats is not emptiness. It is eternity in miniature, resting quietly inside you moment after moment from your first breath to your last. And in that eternity, you are never lost. You are always held, always part of the rhythm, always part of the endless song of time.